A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Get this and get it straight. Crime is a sucker's road, and those who travel it wind up in the gutter, the prison, or the grave. There was a gorgeous tapestry found under a tomb, and they were all after it. The worried importer, the man with half a face, the Englishman in an L.A. slum, and the lady wearing a green veil. But before it was over, none of them had it, and two of the four were dead.
From the pen of Raymond Chandler, outstanding author of crime fiction, comes his most famous character in The Adventures of Philip Marlowe. Now, with Gerald Moore, starred as Philip Marlowe, we bring you tonight's transcribed story, The Baton Sinister.
I'd watched the blood-red sun set behind an ugly purple storm out on the ocean, and the weird afterglow that crept into the canyons of the Hollywood Hills made me uneasy. Added emphasis to the disquieting phone call I received at my office from a man named Pollard Schindler, whom I knew was a very capable worldwide broker of bizarre art objects. In words that fell over each other in urgency, he asked me to meet him at my place at once. As I drove to my apartment, I figured the trouble lay ahead, but I didn't realize how close it was until I parked and started out of my car. A bullet smashed the corner of my windshield, and I ducked for cover, then hugged the building and headed for the rear where I was sure I'd seen a gun flash. I was halfway there when the side door flew open and Pollard Schindler himself stopped me.
Marlowe!
He was white-faced and shaking, his eyes ringed by dark blue circles of fatigue.
Marlowe, that shot.
Yeah, somebody threw a slug at me, Schindler, from back there.
I was afraid of this. We can't talk here, not now. Come, let's get in your car and drive. Hurry.
Wait a minute. What's all this about? Who shot at me and why?
It must have been that lizard, Myron Loft.
Oh?
He's followed me all the way from England, Marlowe, because... But I tell you all about it when we're safe. Right now, we must get away from here.
Okay, but watch yourself. Come on. Well, so far so good. You see that hole in the windshield? It's lucky it's not in my head.
Are we being followed?
Not yet, anyway. Well, Pollard, last time it was a cloak of Kamehameha and a trip to Honolulu. What is it this time?
It's worse. A tapestry, Marlowe, 15th century, and exquisite. Worth $20,000 as a museum piece alone.
Hey, that's a lot of money for a chunk of cloth.
Bah, it's nothing. I'm getting better than $80,000 for it from a man named Arthur Merritt in Seattle.
$80,000?
Yes, correct. You see, this Merritt claims to be a direct descendant from Edward, 2nd Duke of York, who fell at Agincourt.
Really?
Yeah. He spent a fortune tracing his genealogy and collecting family treasures, and regards this tapestry as his greatest prize. Oh, it's a gorgeous thing, Marlowe. Depicts the Duke on a gold horse, riding to battle beside the king. And such colors. Reds, blues, greens. Breathtaking.
I'll bet.
But I'm so tired. I don't think I've slept in weeks.
For $80,000, you can afford to be tired, Schindler. But how does the guy with the itchy trigger finger fit into all this?
Loft, that scum. He was after the tapestry, too. He got wind of the fact that someone was willing to pay $80,000 for it. But he doesn't know who.
I see. You found it first,
Yes.
Huh?
Yes, in a sealed tomb under the ruins of a castle in Wales, just minutes ahead of Loft.
Where's the tapestry now?
At this moment, it's in a cheap suitcase checked in a public locker at the Kavenga Boulevard bus depot.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I want you to pick it up and get it safely to Arthur Merritt. Here's the locker key. A ticket on a plane leaving in 3 hours, and your money. 5 $100 bills. Enough?
Enough. Where'll I find Arthur Merritt?
76 West Street, Seattle. He'll be expecting you. And Marlowe, I feel better if you get the tapestry soon and keep it with you until plane time.
You're really afraid of this guy, Loft, aren't you?
He'll stop at nothing. I warn you. Now, I'll get off here at the corner, Marlowe.
All right.
Incidentally, when you get the tapestry, don't go back to your apartment. Loft may be waiting there. Now, I'm at the Hollywood Crest Hotel.
Hollywood Crest, huh?
Yeah, call me when the job is done. Goodbye, Marlowe, and good luck. You'll need it.
key Schindler left was numbered 410, so I drove to the bus station and went in. A casual walkthrough showed me that locker number 410 was the last on the left. Then I ambled over to the lunch counter, ordered a sandwich and coffee, and sat down to case the rest of the customers. Finally, I spotted him. A dark man in ragged clothes with a profile out of Western Asia who was also watching number 410. The profile glanced around nervously and looked away fast when he caught me watching him. I eased the key to 410 out of my pocket and slipped it under my sandwich. Told the waitress I'd be right back and started toward him. He saw me coming and made for the back exit, broke into a run. When he got to the door, we played follow the leader down the tunnel to the alley behind the bus barn and around a corner. There the game stopped. Because a claw that belonged on a lobster reached out, grabbed me by the shirt front, and pulled me up against 18 inches of curved Damascus steel, sharp enough to shave with. I knew then why he'd shown me only his profile. Half his face was handsome, the other half... Well, when he spoke, he hissed through the flexible half of his mouth.
Stand still, my friend, or I slit your gizzard for you. Where is Myron Loft?
I don't know. I never met the man. Up close, that is.
Liar, you are working for him.
Keep using that knife of punctuation, pal, and I'll admit anything.
I followed the fat German. I watched him put the tapestry in one of those lockers inside. Therefore, I knew that Loft or his hireling wouldn't be far behind.
You mean me or off base? What's Myron Loft to you?
What indeed? Only I know the true value of that tapestry. For it was I who paid for it, with half my face and half my mind. But before I'm through, Loft will know, too. Where is he?
I don't know, but I wish I were with him.
Shall I kill you for being stupid? Go to Loft and tell him that Akkar is not dead, but has come back to teach him the price of treachery.
This will surprise him, no doubt, huh?
He murdered me so I would not talk. He left me for dead. Sent me a hurtling, unconscious off a bridge in a truck of blazing oil. It made me like this. Claw for a hand, a face to frighten demons. But it did not kill me.
Nice guy, Loft.
And the tapestry itself. Tell him it will bring him nothing but despair. For I have put a curse of worthlessness on it that...
Akkar!
There, from the alley. The shot.
Did you see who it was, Akkar?
No, but I didn't have to see it to know. He thinks he has finished it now. But he is wrong. Look for the Baton Sinister.
What? Look for what, Akkar?
In the Duke's shield, the Baton Sinister.
Akkar. The words Baton Sinister, whatever that meant, on his twisted lips. A twisted little man died. I walked back carefully the way I'd come, but life in the bus depot was going on as usual. The waitress gave me a hard eye when I sat down at the lunch counter again, and the mirror over the back bar told me why. I was pasty green from eyes to mouth. The thought that death in an alley still did that to me was strangely gratifying. I got the key from under the sandwich, dropped the buck on the counter, and then went to locker 410 and opened it. Schindler's tattered suitcase was there. I picked it up, took it over to a stall phone, and sat on it while I put in a call to Lieutenant Matthews at Homicide.
Oh, say that again, Marlowe. I don't think I heard you right.
Yes, you did, Matthews. I said a man with half a face named Akkar was shot in the alley back of Coinga Bus Depot. Probably because he knew too much about a tapestry.
Yeah, that's what you said the first time. Oh, who did it? You got any ideas?
Well, it could be a guy named Myron Loft. That's all I know about him, just a name.
Okay, I'll send somebody. Stick around, will you, Phil?
Hey, Lieutenant.
Yeah?
You happen to know what a Baton Sinister is?
Spell that for me, will you, Phil?
Never mind, Matthews. I'll call you again before I leave. When I left the bus depot, I drove to my office, took the suitcase upstairs, and after I locked myself in, I opened it under the lamp on my desk. Folds of dazzling cloth spilled out. I remembered Schindler saying Duke was riding a gold horse, so I looked for that. Yeah, it was easy to spot. And from there, I located his shield. It was deep blue with 3 white roses on one side and a red lion on the other, and in the center, pointing diagonally from upper right to lower left, was a thin line of still deeper blue. That was all I had a chance to see. Because a hand in a rubber glove clamped a wet cloth over my face, and the sickly, sweet odor went through me. Like warm oil through a paper bag. 100 years later, I had a strange dream. I saw a pair of high-heeled green suede shoes, and then a woman in a green veil looking at an empty suitcase. It must have been a dream. Because I couldn't move and my eyelids were lead. When the green veil and green shoes left, everything went black again. Next time, it was no dream. I was face down on my office carpet alone and very sick to my stomach. I'd been chloroformed. I crawled over to the desk and pulled myself up. The suitcase was open and empty. Somehow I got the phone off the hook, dialed information, and a minute later I had my client on the wire.
Marlowe, you sound sick. What is wrong?
I am sick. You're going to be too, Schindler. Your tapestry's gone. It was stolen.
Gone? Stolen?
Yeah.
Oh, no, it can't be. You blundering, stupid fool, Marlowe. Why did
What
you...
did you say?
I'm sorry, Phil. Screaming in hysteria won't get it back, will it?
No.
How did it happen?
Well, I brought it up here to my office, but somebody was always in here laying for me. I was chloroformed and out for about half an hour. When I came to, it was gone. Now, listen. You know a man named Akar, horribly scarred from burns?
A car? No. Why? Did he get it?
Yeah, not the way you think. He was killed at the bus station.
What? Killed? Good heavens. Did Loft do it?
I don't know. Akar thought so, and I'm getting tired of hearing that name Loft. Hey, incidentally, what's a Baton Sinister?
Baton Sinister?
Yeah.
A mark in heraldry, but why that mark?
Well, it might be important. What is it actually,
Well,
Pollard?
it's simply a short line on a shield or escutcheon. It runs diagonally from Sinister Chief to Dexter Base.
What does that mean? From upper right to lower left, maybe?
If you're facing the shield, yes. It's the mark of fraudulence. But why?
Well, I was told to look for the Baton Sinister by, Hey, wait a minute, Pollard.
Huh? What?
There's something on the floor here. It looks like an envelope. Yeah. There's nothing in it, but it's addressed to... Holy smoke, this is addressed to Myron Loft, 946 South Grand Avenue, L.A.
I knew it. I knew Loft was behind the theft, Marlowe. But now we've got a chance to get the tapestry back. Where is this Grand Avenue?
Yeah, it runs through a slum called Bunker Hill. Any cab driver knows it. I'm going down there now, Schindler.
Good. I'll get there as soon as I can to cover you. And Marlowe, listen. The man is a devil. Be careful.
Bunker Hill stuck up above downtown L.A. like a water on a debutante's hand. The big street that had tunneled under it or bypassed it years ago left it nothing more than a dingy, isolated attic where the city's worn-out cast-offs finally end up to die. And the big hotels that open on the swank street below had all carefully turned their backs on the hill. I parked near Angel's Flight and walked on the odd-number side of the street until I spotted 946, a crumbling, yellow stucco rooming house that clung to the hill face from habit only. And I gave the windows a lot of attention to be sure no one was watching. And I went out to the corner, crossed, and came back. An anemic nightlight was on at the end of the hall. So I pushed my way through the smells toward a door with a grimy card that said office. I was about to knock when a voice purred from the landing on the stairs behind me.
When you turn round, do it slowly, understand?
Perfectly.
I dare say you're Pollard Schindler's man.
Could be. Which makes you Myron Loft,
Yes,
huh?
I've been up on the roof watching you. I expected you'd come before long. I suppose you want the tapestry.
Now, how'd you guess that?
Then what price has Schindler decided to offer me?
Price, you're kidding.
Hardly. I don't enjoy humor. Perhaps you don't know much about the tapestry,
Not much. I know more than I used to. I had quite a chat with Akar.
Akar? That's impossible. My ex-assistant is dead.
I know. But he lived long enough to tell me about the Baton Sinister and the Duke's shield.
That's a lie, my fine fellow. There's no Baton Sinister on that shield, and that's... Oh, of course. That sly idiot. Akar would try something like a Baton Sinister. But for what purpose, I can't imagine.
Just to make sure that you'd pay for his murder.
What's that?
Must have been a shock to find out he'd survived that burning truck accident you tried. So you finished him tonight with a bullet.
Oh, that's strange. How much more do you know along this line?
Enough to make bargaining more than worth your while, and I haven't kept it all in my head.
I see. Well, my door's the second on the left. Now move along now, quickly.
I see no reason to hurry.
I do.
See what you mean. Although the accent was Oxford, the gestures were strictly Skid Row. So as I proceeded Myron Loft and gun into my lord's sagging chamber, I watched carefully for the chance I knew I'd have to take before long. But a small step toward a dark corner...
No, don't try that.
...told me it wasn't going to be easy. The gentleman with the flaccid voice was being very wary about me.
Now turn about and face me, quickly.
So wary about me, in fact, that the quiet footstep behind him went unnoticed. The footstep that had been made by a green suede pump that belonged to a lady with a veil, also green. I now knew I'd actually seen earlier in my office. When she took her next step, the gun she clenched in her expensively gloved hand was raised high. It came down hard. Girl of my dreams, I thank you. That was neat, and believe me, not a moment too soon.
That. He's not dead, is he?
No, he's just out cold, is in deep freeze. But, aren't we being a little matter-of-fact about all this?
We are. Did you expect tears?
Well, from the veil, yes. That's where I'm probably being misled. I should concentrate on your green suede shoes. They seem to be more in character.
And you seem to be quite ungrateful and gabby. So let's move on some. Over there, that bundle. It could be the tapestry.
The Hey, lady, you're not after it, too, are you?
No, I came here to save your life.
Uh-huh.
I love you.
That's charming.
Come on, mister. Are we warm?
Hot. Yeah, this is it, all right.
Good. Now get back.
Yeah.
Away from it.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes. Way back. And for safekeeping, into that snug little closet there.
Without so much as a peek? At the veil, I mean.
Without so much as another word. Your mouth, I mean. Go on. Inside. It won't hold you for long, but I don't need long anymore.
She was so right. Didn't hold me for long. Because even a misplaced hiccup could jar loose most any given segment of Bunker Hill construction. However, by the time I got to the street, it was lady with veil and bundle tucked underneath her arm climbing into a cab. And only her tail light skidding out of sight around a corner. So I played the only bet left. She departed in a cab. Maybe she'd arrived in one. And maybe that one was still in line at the hack stand across the street at the back of the hotel. At number 4, I connected.
Yeah, sure. The doll with the veil. I brought her here. Why? What's it mean to you?
Everything. She's my long-lost sister. Where'd you pick her up?
I can't remember.
Okay. Here's 5. Now try it.
Sure. It was the Sunset Gardens Hotel, Villa 12. Witches around on the side. But you know what else?
No, what else?
I'll bet this 5 she ain't really your sister at all. I'll bet she's really your wife.
Oh, you're so wrong. She's really typhoid Mary, Jack. You better fumigate fast, both inside and out.
Huh?
Goodbye. I was 30 anxious minutes weaving my way through the thick westbound traffic that any snail could have easily outsprinted before I was finally parked away from Villa 12. Then out of my car and running toward the squat chunk of termite-proof old Spain. But I hoped I'd again meet up with both the lady who wore a mosquito net for a hat and my client's hard-come-by drapery. But the bungalow in front of me said no such luck. Because it was dark, closed tight, and as quiet as snow falling all the way around. Until I was in the back, where each villa had its own junior picnic grounds, complete with barbecue pit. Then from somewhere behind me, I heard it. First the rattle of paper. Then a few footsteps, high heels, that I knew could be the green suede ones on flagstone. After that, over near the pit, liquid poured on wood, and then sudden flame. It was the lady whose shoes I knew all right, but this time no veil. Only a face that might have been pretty if it weren't for the prancing shadows the flame threw over an expression that was a little more than determination, a little less than psycho. I moved close to her quietly. And when she had the tapestry unwrapped and was ready to make a little offering to the fire gods, I took my cue. Marshmallows would taste better, baby, honest.
You?
Yeah, little me, and 38 not so little. So stand very still, honey. Priceless heirloom included.
Oh, no, I won't. It's going to fire where it belongs.
That's a matter of opinion.
Oh, let go my arm, you big hate.
Drop it. Let it go, baby. Better we dirty it than singe it. Come on, let go. There, that's better. Now, come on, Firebug. Who are you? Who?
Naomi Marchant. Got it out.
Okay. Now, tell me where you fit in the tapestry, or do we shake some more?
No, thanks. I'll tell you what you want to know. Who are you?
Name's Philip Marlowe.
Cop?
No, a private detective hired to babysit with the tapestry. Let's not change the subject.
Okay. Getting there. I'm Arthur Merritt's niece, and Solaire.
The guy in Seattle who's waiting for me to deliver this item is your uncle?
Uh-huh, my uncle, the jerk.
Now, wait a minute. Let me get this straight. You steal the tapestry, risk your life, play with guns, and with people who only play for keeps. Also, you can get a chance to burn $80,000 worth of fancy needlework.
Listen, my uncle has been throwing away his money on antiques, and all he's got left of $500,000 is $100,000. I don't want 4/5 of that used for this stinking substitute for wallpaper. Anything else?
Yeah. How long have you been working on this project, this Operation Arson?
A week. Came down from Seattle when I learned that the man my uncle was dealing with was named Pollard Schindler. You can fill it in from there. Now, do you mind if I leave? I'm looking forward to bed and a good cry. $80,000 worth. Do I go?
Yeah, on one condition. Your gun, baby. It stays. watched her until she was around to the front of the bungalow and out of sight. And I grabbed up the tapestry, started to fold it when a sudden flare from the fire threw a crazy spurt of light over the material on my arm. And I saw that on the shield that the Duke of Kent carried, there was no Baton Sinister. This was not the same tapestry I'd examined in my office. Right then, just to make things all the merrier, I once again heard from Naomi Martin. On the even chance that this was a trap, Naomi playing possum with healthy lungs, I ditched the tapestry in a nearby clump of trees, then gun in hand ran for the front door of Villa 12. I got there just as the gray convertible lights out roared off and Naomi was climbing back onto her feet.
What took you so long?
Now listen, you, the real tapestry, where is it?
Oh, no, you're kidding.
Baby, that number you just tried to burn is not the one I started out with tonight. It's minus Baton Sinister.
Minus who? What are you talking about?
Just this. Maybe you still have the tapestry and the routine with the flames was done with a phony and strictly for my benefit.
And maybe you're nuts. Now you listen. What I told you before was the truth, nothing but. However, if it happens to work out that I walked off with a phony and you did likewise, I'm sorry.
I'll bet. But for the time being, I'll buy it that way. Now tell me what went on here.
I was about to unlock the door when it happened. A hand with a rubber glove grabbed me.
Wait a minute. Rubber glove?
Rubber glove? Do we say everything twice? Whoever it was obviously didn't want to leave fingerprints.
Oh, the smell of chloroform on his hands.
Hey, come to think of it, I did get a whiff of something funny. How do you know about that?
In my office when the tapestry was... Wait a minute, you were there. Didn't you get a look at him?
No, there was only a single light on, and you were already out cold when I got there.
Yeah, but you must have seen something.
Sure, stars. After he took the tapestry and laid an envelope of some kind next to you, I told him to reach way up. He got me piled into a heap on your office floor.
The envelope
He
made
ran.
next to me.
I followed, but I lost it.
Hey, hold it. Back up, Naomi.
What?
Did you say he placed that envelope there next to me?
That's what I said. See what I mean? We
Cut it out,
kids.
baby. I've got an idea, a thought. About a Baton Sinister and what's really going on. Also, it just occurred to me that Myron Loft might not remain unconscious forever. And that my client was going to cover me at Loft's place on Bunker Hill.
Wait, where are you going, Marlowe?
Once I pick up the tapestry I just hid, which may not be a phony, back to Bunker Hill. So long, kid. Oh, no.
Somebody call the police. Marlowe! Oh, Marlowe, thank goodness you're here. I just shot Myron Loft.
You did what, Schindler?
Yes. God in Himmel. Dead Marlowe.
Hey, for the love of Pete, what's going on in this joint?
Nothing you can help, sweetheart.
Oh, okay, Bright Eyes, but try to hold it down, will you?
It was terrible, Marlowe. I came to this place after I didn't hear from you and found out which room Loft had. When I went in, he was on the floor, unconscious. So I started to look around for the tapestry.
In the meantime, Loft came to, got hold of the gun and rushed you. Is that it?
Yes. We struggled, and then the gun went off. Oh, Marlowe, what should we do now? Call the police?
Yeah, I'll take care of it. You go back into the room there and don't touch anything and see that nobody else does.
All right, Marlowe. But you have the tapestry?
Yeah, I got it, Schindler. Safe and sound. Your worries are over.
Homicide, Detective Lieutenant Matthews speaking.
Marlowe, Matthews.
Oh.
I'm at 946 South Grand Avenue, and so's another body.
What?
At Myron Loft, I mentioned. My client, Pollard Schindler, just shot him in self-defense.
Which also clears up that death of that car out behind the bus depot, huh? I mean, Loft got him and then tried for your client, but missed.
Yeah. Yeah, if you believe my client.
Yeah, well, Oh, Marlowe, what are you reaching for?
A few very tasty but hard-to-swallow facts. One, my client's a liar. Two, my client killed both Acker and Myron Loft. And three, I've been set up and used as the neatest chump, patsy, sucker, fall guy. They all fit. He even shot through my windshield for realism. Pollard Schindler never had the real tapestry, Matthews. He had only a phony. He gave it to me to deliver and then swiped it from me. After which he put me on the trail of the real one.
Uh-huh. So while swiping it back for him like the good private detective you are, you'd come up with the real one, huh? That's tidy. I'll be right down, Phil.
Okay.
You told the police what happened, Marlowe?
Yeah. I told them, Mr. Schindler. I told them everything. Now there's nothing for us to do but wait.
That does it, Lieutenant. 7 full pages of confession from Mr. Pollard Schindler, a very crafty bird.
Yeah, thanks, Mooney. Oh, bring that girl in a couple of minutes, will you?
All right, Lieutenant.
Well, Phil, here it is, the whole story.
Yeah?
Yeah, look, Pollard Schindler went after the tapestry in England, but Myron Loft got there first. However, Schindler was the one who knew where he could sell it way above museum price, so Loft had a duplicate made up and saw to it that Schindler stole it from him.
And it was Akar who added the Baton Sinister, the mark of fraudulence in heraldry, to the fake tapestry.
Yeah. But I still don't clearly follow the rest of it, Phil. I mean, here in L.A., you know?
Oh, well, it wasn't much of a change. Another verse, same song. Loft stayed close to Schindler all the way back from England.
Yeah.
And he watched and he waited until he figured that Schindler was ready to close his deal, you see?
Yeah.
Then he stepped forward and announced that the tapestry Schindler had was a phony.
Oh.
And that he'd given the real one for a healthy cut of the sale price.
Uh-huh. And Loft couldn't go to Merritt direct because he didn't know who Merritt was.
Sure.
Oh.
And from there it was me, the patsy, with the best of references.
Oh.
That do it for you?
Yeah, just about. Schindler killed Akar, whom we didn't expect in the scene, and Loft, who he did, so neither one could spill to you.
That's right.
Now, come in. Now, when did you... Oh, just a minute, Miss Marchand, please. When did all this come across to you, Phil?
When I got mixed up with the lovely lady here. She told me that the man who had chloroformed me in my office had carefully placed an envelope on the floor next to me. An envelope I later took as a clue. From that switch, I started to look around for others.
Oh, great. Hooray for Campfire Girl me. What kind of a medal do I get?
Yeah, you get a pretty nice one, Miss Marchand, thanks to Marlowe. You get freedom. You know, we could prefer charges against you.
Like what?
Like what? Like assault and battery for slugging Loft, grand larceny for the theft of the tapestry from Loft's place, attempted destruction of private property.
Okay. I forgot about those things.
Yeah.
Thanks, Marlowe.
Thanks, Marlowe. Is that your official statement? No more? Not even I'm sorry before you go?
Well, yes. I'm sorry, all right. Real sorry that I missed. Goodbye.
Another hour, and my signature was on another dozen official papers before I was free to leave Matthews, who kept the real tapestry but gave me the one we got back from Pollard Schindler, the one with the Baton Sinister on it as a souvenir. So by the time I got back to my apartment, it was pushing 4 o'clock in the morning, and I was tired. Tired of a night that had been jammed full of crooked people who had taken crooked paths half across the world, chasing a buck. So tired, in fact, that I didn't notice Naomi Marchand leaning across the door opposite mine until she spoke.
Marlowe, we could take that tapestry you have there, even if it's a phony one, and fly to Seattle and sell it to Uncle Arthur before he knows anything about what happened here. Marlowe, we could... Marlowe? No. Marlowe. Go away now.
There was only one thing to do. Put both hands firm on her shoulders, spin the girl around and across my knees.
Don't you spank me!
Oh, well. I was too tired for even that.
The Adventures of Philip Marlowe, bringing you Raymond Chandler's most famous character and crime's most deadly enemy, star Gerald Moore, and are produced and transcribed by Norman MacDonald. Script is by Mel Donnelly, Robert Mitchell, and Gene Levitt. The special music is composed and conducted by Richard Orant. Be sure and be with us next week when Philip Marlowe says...
Rain slashing a glass roof, an old man's curiosity, and an imaginary imp out of place. They all became important when 2 people died violently, so a third could make a killing.
Paul Masterson speaking. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Tournament, your faithful friend when muscles ache and pain, presents Gangbusters. Gangbusters. Brought to you, the men and women of America, by the makers of Sloan's Liniment. With the cooperation of leading law enforcement officials of the United States, Gangbusters presents facts in the relentless war of the police on the underworld. Authentic case histories that show the never-ending activity of the police in their work of protecting our citizens. America's crusade against crime.
Now, for those of you who are familiar with the name Schwarzkopf, just an editorial note and we'll get right back to the program. Colonel Schwarzkopf, who oftentimes interviews the lawman who brings in the story to Gangbusters, is, of course, in actuality, the father of H. Norman Schwarzkopf, General of the United States Army, and so this is kind of interesting to hear him portrayed, his father portrayed as a law enforcer. And also interesting, there's the character of the lawman, a sheriff, a judge who comes on the program, Judge Miller, is played by none other than Bill Johnstone, who about the same time was playing the Shadow on the Mutual Network. So there's a couple of interesting voices to listen for here.
Now for our proxy interview between Colonel Schwarzkopf and Judge L.D. Miller of Chattanooga, Tennessee. Picture our setting as a special office turned over to Gangbusters by Commissioner Louis J. Valentine of the New York City Police. Colonel Schwarzkopf.
Judge Miller, I understand that Charleston and Rogers, the Nickel and Dime Bandits, were hunted by the police of 6 states.
Yes, Colonel Schwarzkopf. Actually, 8 different police departments were after them within a period of 30 days.
But why do you call these particular criminals the Nickel and Dime Bandits?
Well, Colonel, James Carlson, the brains of the combination, had a theory of crime different from any criminal in all my experience.
I got a new slant on stick-ups that'll pay big dividends. I'm going to get me a smart partner that knows how to use a cat. Then we're going to go through the Mississippi Valley pulling little jobs, nickel and dime jobs. When we pulled enough of these nickel and dime jobs, we'll have just as much jack as if we'd stuck up a dozen big banks.
On December 4th, 1939, following a term at Minnesota State Reformatory, Charlson drove up to a roadside tavern near Minneapolis. The owner was talking to a customer.
Be right with you, mister. Anything else, sir?
Oh, that'll be all, Bill. Charge it, will you?
With a fancy car like that, you want me to charge it?
No fancy. Right behind you, pal. Turn around.
What?
Look out, Bill. He's got a gun.
A special kind of gun, mister, with a hair trigger. Come on, both of you. Back up into that hot dog joint before I turn this cannon loose on you. I want your dough.
Oh, I got some change.
Give it to me.
Here you are.
Now, you. Open up that cash register.
Here. $35. It's all I got.
I know it ain't. Scoop out that change and stick it in my pocket.
Nickels and dimes, huh? I'd like to see you for 5 minutes without that gun. Here's the change.
Thanks, wise guy.
Now get out of here.
Not so fast, you. Empty your pockets.
Pretty brave, aren't you, with a gun?
Yeah, and it's liable to go off any minute.
No sawed-off punk's gonna take my dough.
I warned you, wise guy.
Bill! You're not getting away from me. I'll show you. Give me that gun. You're all through, son.
Let go of me.
You hurt?
Let go of me.
Yeah, I guess so. Pretty bad. I knocked all 3 of those bullets, but I got his gun.
You're going to need a doctor. What do we do with this guy?
Lock him in the washroom.
You make it all right?
Yeah, sure. I got the special gun, you rat.
Yeah.
Give back my money.
All right. Here you are.
Now, come on, you into the washroom.
You'll never get me to jail.
Inside, punk.
Okay, wise guy.
I'll lock it and then phone the police.
Better get an ambulance, Bill. You're bleeding bad.
Hello, operator. Get me the police.
Sit down, Bill. What's that?
The washroom window.
There. Out front. There he goes.
He's in his car. Stop! Stop or I'll shoot! Oh, it's jammed. That guy's special pistol jammed and saved his own life.
It is rare, Judge Miller, for the victim to turn on his assailant at gunpoint and disarm him.
It is, Colonel. Fortunately, the wounds of the tavern owner were not serious. Charleston made a dash for Chicago, where he went into partnership with another criminal named Joe Rogers. Together, they stole a late model car and started south, blazing a trail of robberies from Illinois to Louisiana. On the night of December 17th in Blytheville, Arkansas, Charleston and Rogers committed an unusual robbery, showing a peculiar obsession.
Blytheville, Arkansas, robbery. 2 men broke into a house and stole a large collection of pistols, automatics, shotguns, and rifles. Seen escaping in blue or black Dodge sedan. Notify all gun dealers to be on lookout for unusual weapons of foreign make.
A few days later, Colonel, Charleston and Rogers were in Minneapolis, waiting in a stolen new Buick sedan across the street from a small apartment house.
Boy, this is the life, huh, Rogers? You said it, Charleston. Cops and newspapers screaming about us from here to New Orleans. Nothing for us to do but sit back and take it easy.
I'd sure like a drink right now.
Yeah, so would I. Wish that baby of yours would hurry up.
It's only 10 past 11. I told her to snake out at 15:15.
She made up her mind to come with us?
Hope so. You know me, Rogers. Wine, woman, and song.
Yeah, I know. But when are we going to quit this small-time stuff and go after something big?
Like what?
Banks.
Forget it, Rogers. Knock over a bank and every cop in the state's after you.
Just think of the dough we could pick up in banks. All we've been getting the places you pick is chicken feed. Nothing but nickels and dimes.
There's nothing you can't buy with nickels and dimes, Rogers. If you got enough of them.
Sure, but we could...
There's no buts to it. It adds up, see? And the rap for little jobs is nothing like it is for a bank.
But in one bank job...
Listen, Sap.
Hey, take it easy, will you?
Banks have guards, and the guards have guns and tear gas. They have balconies to ambush bank bandits. They have burglar alarms to call the cops. Don't you see, we can get as much in a flock of gas stations as we could in a dozen banks. And no risk.
Maybe you're right.
The way I figure it...
Hold it, Charleston. Here comes your girlfriend.
Oh. Hello, baby.
Hello, Jim. Gee, I'm glad to see you.
You and me both. Get in the car.
Okay.
It's my pal, Joe Rogers.
Oh, pleased to meet you.
How are you?
Oh, what's up? Where are we going?
We're going south, kid. How'd you like to go with us?
South? Oh, gee, I'd love to, but what about my folks?
Send them a postcard.
Yeah.
Just say, having a wonderful time. I wish you were here.
Hey, what are you guys going to do?
We got special ideas. Swell clothes, good liquor, and plenty to keep us busy. What do you say?
I say, what are we waiting for?
Baby, you're going to be perfect. Let's go, Rogers.
Where to?
Back to New Orleans, where it's nice and warm. But we're going to make some stops on the way. And where we stop, nobody's ever going to forget us. This will be a joyride to remember.
That was near midnight, Colonel, on December 21st, 1939. 3 days later, Chief C.R. Bryan of the Chattanooga, Tennessee Police was sitting in his office when Police Captain Homer Edmondson walked in with a message in his hand.
Good morning, Captain.
Good morning, Chief Bryan. This just came in on the teletype. Thought you'd like to look at it.
From Sweetwater, huh?
Yes, sir.
Arrest 2 men wanted here for robbery of roadside cafe this morning, 3 a.m. One man about 20, weight 150, blue eyes, light hair. The other one, older, weight about 140, dark hair, slender. Both bandits wearing leather jackets.
That's a pretty complete description, Chief.
These bandits took $60 in currency, cigarettes, liquor, and a large amount of nickels and dimes. They're heavily armed. Large amount of nickels and dimes. That sounds familiar.
You're right, Captain. This is the 6th report in the last few days that used those exact words.
Yes, and each report was near Chattanooga. Have you broadcast this message to the patrol cars?
Yes, sir. Right after it came in.
Send it out again, Captain. This is the first good description we've had of those men. If they try anything here, I want every man on the force to be waiting for them.
Right, Chief.
Wait a second. Chief Bryan speaking.
Assistant cops over quick, Chief. I've just been robbed.
Who's this?
Jack Parker. I got a filling station at Maiden Watkins. I just opened up 10 minutes ago and 2 guys walked in and...
Hold on a minute. Captain, there's been a holdup over at Maiden Watkins, a filling station. Send a patrol car over there right away.
Right away, Chief.
Go ahead, Mr. Parker. What happened?
These 2 guys walked in, Chief. They both wore leather jackets. They had 4 guns between them and they cleaned out the cash register.
How much they get?
$7. Almost all small change.
Nickels and dimes, huh?
Well, I know Sounds to me.
Mr. Parker, I don't care if it was 7 cents or $7 million. If these bandits are the men I think they are, they're going to try to pull some more jobs like this here in Chattanooga, and we're going to get them.
The next afternoon, Colonel, the woman manager of a small dry goods store in Chattanooga saw 2 men, apparently customers, walking into her store.
Now I help you, gentlemen?
Yeah, let me see some shirts. The best you got. And I want to see some socks and ties.
Certainly, right over here. What size shirt, sir?
15 collar, 34 sleeve. And I want size 11 socks.
Here they are. Just take your pick.
That's just what we're going to do, sister. Stick 'em up.
Hold up.
Take it easy, sister. One peep out of you and I'll drill you.
Please.
Get down on the floor behind our counter. And don't move if you want to live.
Yes,
Pretty fancy-looking socks, pal. Get some for me. What kind of shirts you getting? Silk. The most expensive I can find.
Please.
Fast. Okay. These here look swell. Green silk. You ready, pal? Yeah, let's go. Hey, sister, where's your cash register?
There in back of the counter. But there's only a...
I know. There's only a little change. That's what they all say. How much, pal? $10 and about 5 and change. Thanks for the service, lady. We'll be sure to tell our friends about you. And remember, sister, if you move off that floor before we're out of this store, it'll be the last time you ever move.
Exactly 44 minutes later, Colonel, in a Chattanooga liquor store on the other side of town.
Will that be all, gentlemen? Just the 3 bottles of whiskey? No, that ain't all, mister. Reach for the ceiling. What do you want? Don't shoot him, pal. The cops might hear you get. All right. Keep him covered.
And what are you going to do?
I'm going to teach you not to be so nosy. That'll teach you to ask me what I want.
Now, please, don't kick me again.
Come on, pal. Let's get out of here. Get the dough. Okay. Take everything, even the small change. How much is it? Yeah, there's about $90 here. Hey, here's something else, pal. A nice new gat for your collection. Say, not so bad. Different from any I got. Maybe I ought to try it out on this wise guy.
No, please.
Okay, mister, but just so you won't run after us, here's something more to remember us. Buck.
Oh.
That brutal holdup was the third the nickel and dime bandits committed in the heart of Chattanooga within 24 hours, Colonel. It redoubled the efforts of the police to catch Charleston and Rogers and resulted in a gun battle that Chattanooga will long remember. Law enforcement officers within a radius of 50 miles of Chattanooga cooperated. At a special meeting of police representatives at the office of Chief C.R. Bryant, all possible angles were discussed.
Fortunately, men, we have a complete description of these 2 bandits and definite identification clues.
What are they, Chief Bryan?
Well, first, Sussman, there's the nickel and dime angle. So anyone seen spending an unusual amount of silver is a definite suspect. Then there's the gun angle.
The gun angle?
It's this, Frazier. These men are crazy about guns. They take pride in them. Not just as weapons, but as items to collect.
So the bandits might just show off their guns sometime without staging a holdup, huh?
Particularly if they've been drinking.
And that's still another clue, Chief Bryan. The amount of liquor they consume, judging by the amount they've stolen.
And the girl with them. The one that's been seen in their car. Now, we have her description. All right, Captain Edmondson. These are all valuable clues, men. And we have one other advantage. From what these bandits have said to their victims, they don't expect the police to go after them seriously.
Just because the thefts have been relatively small, huh?
Exactly.
That gives me an idea, Chief.
What is it, Edmondson?
Maybe we can get these bandits through a weakness in their own system.
How, Captain?
Let's give these clues to every reliable citizen in the vicinity of Chattanooga. Every small storekeeper. Then when the bandits do show up again, they'll be spotted immediately.
Good idea. Well, then it's understood every available man is to stay on duty till these bandits are behind bars. I want them in custody before somebody gets killed.
Within 1 hour after that meeting, Colonel, merchants, filling station employees, liquor store proprietors, business people all over Chattanooga were planning to cooperate with the police.
Cooperate with police? Listen, I'm staying right here at the store. If those bandits come back this way, I'm going to be ready for them.
If those nickel and dime crooks come anywhere near me, I'm going to call the police. I'll know them if I ever see them again.
I'll be glad to cooperate. I've got a score to settle with those rats, and I'd like to see them both behind bars. If they ever come into my place, I'll...
Nickels and dimes, eh? I get it. If those buzzards stick their noses in my place, I'll be waiting for them. You can count on me.
That night, Colonel, December 26, 1939, at the Rock Castle Roadhouse, 10 miles west of Chattanooga, the cashier, Bill Raper, was standing behind his counter.
cashier.
Yes,
Come
sir?
on. I want a bottle of whiskey.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir. We're not allowed to sell liquor in bottles except for guests of Rock Castle.
I'm a guest here. Me and my pal are in one of the cabins right next door.
Oh, I beg your pardon. Sure. Here you are. That'll be $165, please.
You'll have to take it in change.
Change?
Fistful, buddy. Here.
25, 50, $10, 20, 30, 55, 65. Right. Thank you, sir.
You bet it's right. Say, what are you staring at?
Oh, why,
See anything wrong with me?
No, I was just thinking what a good-looking green silk shirt you have on.
Oh, that. Yeah. Yeah, it is good looking. Everything I got's good looking. Look at this.
Hey, what?
Ah, don't be scared. I ain't going to use it on you.
Boy, that's some pistol.
Bet your life it is. Special automatic. Only one like it in the country.
Yes, sir. Well, is there anything else you want?
Yeah, sure. I almost forgot. Give me some of those box lunches you got, huh?
How many?
Let's see now. 3.
Here they are. Do you want me to carry them for you?
Yeah, that's right. I'm getting a little rocky.
Hey, Joe, take over, will you?
Okay.
I'll be right back. Let's go, sir. So which cabin is it?
Second one on the left.
This the cabin?
Yeah, I'll knock. Hey, open up. Come on, open up. It's me. Come on.
Pipe down, will you?
Come on, let me in. Where's Babe?
I reckon I'll be getting along, mister.
Yeah, sure. See you later, mister. Good night.
Yeah, I'll see you later. Operator, get me the police.
Police headquarters, Chief Ryan speaking.
Chief, listen, this is Bill Raper out at Rock Castle.
Yes, Bill?
Those 2 nickel and dime crooks you're looking for, they're here.
How do you know?
I'm positive, Chief. Every single clue you give me. The nickels and dimes, the guns, the liquor, everything checks.
Did you notice a car?
Yes, sir. It's a big, black, new 1940 Buick.
Where are they?
In a cabin right next door.
How many?
3 of them, sir. 2 men and a girl.
That's what I call fine cooperation, Bill. Sit tight and don't say a word to anyone. I'll send an emergency squad out there right away.
15 minutes later, Colonel, Captain Homer Edmondson, with a group of picked men from the Chattanooga police force, including Detective Shipley and Carson, met members of the county uniformed police under Captain Dyer outside the Rock Castle Roadhouse. The cashier, Bill Raper, was waiting for them.
Which cabin are they in, Mr. Raper?
That one with the lights on, Captain Edmondson.
All right, men. Sisman and Fraser, you stick with me.
All right, Captain.
Now, we'll go to the front of the house. Shipley, you and Carson cover the back with Captain Dyer. You got that?
Right, Captain.
What's our plan, Captain? Simply to close in and get those bandits. We can't start shooting till we're absolutely sure these are the men we want. But if they show the slightest resistance, open fire with riot guns immediately. Ready?
Yes, sir. Let's go.
Watch it. They turned out the lights. Better stand back. I'll knock.
Open up.
Who is it?
Police.
Just a minute.
Hurry it up.
All right, coppers. Come and get it.
Get back, man.
Captain, just listen to those bullets bounce.
All right, men, open up with your riot guns.
Right, Captain.
Get down low, babe. Those cops are using riot guns.
We'll fix them, Jimmy. I'll load your pistol.
Roger.
Yeah?
Cover the back door. I'll cover the front.
Okay, Charleston.
Come on, coppers. Try and take it.
You'd better give up in there. You're surrounded.
We'll give them hot lead. Give me another gat, babe. This one's empty.
Here you are, Jimmy.
How is it in the back, Rogers?
Can't see him. It's too dark out there.
Well, they're all around us, Jimmy.
Keep down, babe.
Oh.
Babe, you hit.
Oh, my head.
Told you to keep down. All right, coppers. You got my gal. I'll show you can't get away with that.
Charleston, there's a cop creeping up in the back. You cover the front, Rogers. I'll get that cop. He's coming right up to the back door.
What are you going to do, Jimmy?
Shut up, babe. I'm running this show.
Open your hands, all three of you.
I'm waiting for you, cop.
Jimmy, you killed him.
I'll say I killed him. I got his gun, too.
Jimmy, they got Rogers.
Lie down on the floor, babe. I'll get him for that. All right, coppers. I got one of you. Who's next? Yes, Fraser.
They killed Shipley.
Shipley? How?
He broke in the back door, shot down before he had a chance.
Ah, the dirty dogs. Give me your rat gun, Fraser.
Yes, sir.
Mine's empty.
Captain, I'm going after him.
Now, wait, don't go up there. It's probably a trap.
There goes one of them out the side door. Stop or I'll fire. He's running for the woods.
I can't see him.
There, between those big trees.
Missed him.
It's so dark I can't see.
Oh, we'll never find him in this darkness.
What do we do, Captain?
He might be hurt. Dyer, you and Carson follow him. I am going to get some bloodhounds.
What's the matter with the dogs, Captain? Why are they stopping? Too dark for them?
I'm afraid they lost the trail, Fraser.
What, after we've followed that bandit for almost 8 miles?
It's all right, Sussman. Those bloodhounds have told me just what I want to know.
That'll get you, Captain.
For the last 2 miles, the bandits' trail has followed right along these railroad tracks.
That's right. But now we've lost it. I can't see what that
We're
is.
headed toward Chattanooga, not away from it. Doesn't that mean anything to you men?
You mean you thought maybe the bandit would jump a freight away from Chattanooga?
No, Sussman. I thought he'd head for Chattanooga, but I couldn't be sure. Now I know he's gone back to the city, where we can lay our hands on him.
With one of the nickel and dime bandits, Joe Rogers, dead, Colonel, and the bandit's girlfriend in a prison hospital, the Chattanooga police combed the city for the remaining bandit, now definitely identified as James Charleston. Later that night, after visiting hundreds of rooming houses, 2 police officers, Patrolman Fraser and Sussman, climbed the stairs of a cheap rooming house an hour after midnight.
What number did the landlady say, Fraser?
Room 6.
Yeah. It's room number 6, right up there at the head of the stairs.
Yeah. Landlady said her new boarder arrived an hour ago.
Have your gun ready?
Bet I will, Sussman. You turn on your flashlight. I'll try the door.
Right.
Door's unlocked.
That's lucky. Careful now. Easy. There, he's in bed. Sound asleep. Wonder if he's a guy we want.
He's pretty young for a bandit. Let's make sure, Sussman. Pull down the covers.
A pistol there in his right hand.
And another one next to him.
He's starting to wake up. Grab him.
I'm with you.
Look on. I didn't do nothing.
I got him, Fraser. Put the bracelets on him. Charleston, you're all through.
You cops are crazy. I'm not the guy you want.
Oh, you're all right, Fraser. Let's see those 2 guns.
That don't prove nothing, copper. I didn't kill nobody. I like guns. See, I collect them.
Yeah? Well, this is one gun you never should have collected, Charleston. It's the gun you took from Detective Shipley after you killed him. And it's the last gun you're ever going to collect.
And so, Colonel Schwarzkopf, through splendid police work and excellent citizen cooperation, the criminal activities of James Charleston came to an abrupt end. Placed on trial in my court for robbery and murder on February 27th, 1940, he was quickly found guilty. I sentenced him to life imprisonment in the Tennessee State Penitentiary. He's there at this very moment.
And what happened to the girl who was with Charleston and Rogers, Judge Miller?
For months, she hovered between life and death with a bullet touching her brain. The doctor said her mental faculties would be impaired indefinitely, and under the circumstances, she was freed in the custody of her parents.
Thank you, Judge Miller, for a fine case. I'm particularly pleased with the way you brought out the great value of public cooperation with the authorities. When the police thus frankly solicit help from our law-abiding citizens, and those citizens promptly and comprehensively cooperate, no criminal can escape. Every time the police and the people work together, the end is inevitable. Crime does not pay.
And now, the clues.
Special bulletin. All citizens, watch for murderer 24, 5 feet 5 inches, 135 pounds, dark brown hair slicked back, brown eyes. This man with tall, sandy-haired companion having wrinkled face, wanted for brutal murder several days ago, refrigeration engineer near San Antonio, Texas, may be traveling in black Ford station wagon, and may have in possession a .44 caliber Smith & Wesson revolver with cedar handle.
Warning, citizens of Pennsylvania, be on lookout for man 28, 5 feet 8 inches, 160 pounds, brown hair, gray eyes, occupation farmer. This man wanted in connection with feud slaying last week, Indian Head section of Fayette County, Pennsylvania.
If you have any information concerning these clues, notify your local police, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, or Gangbusters at once. For Sloan's Liniment next week, the case of the missing corpse. Here, reenacted for the first time, the inside factual account of one of the most fantastic cases in all criminology. Learn how a dead man faced his murderer. Sloan's Liniment brings you one of Philip H. Lohr's most astounding dramatizations in America's Crusade Against Crime.
Proudly we hail. From New York City, where the American stage begins, here is another program with a cast of outstanding players. Public service time has been made available by this station for your Army and your Air Force to bring you this story, as proudly we hail the United States Army. Our story is entitled Recipe for Deceit. This is the story of an unusual recipe and an unusual man. Mess Steward, Sergeant Melvin Dilbert of the United States Army. Our first act curtain will rise in just a moment, but first, young men, if you're interested in continuing your education, here's important news for you. You can be trained in one of the world's finest technical schools for a career that will be of great benefit to you for the rest of your life. Right now, the United States Army has an urgent need for qualified technicians to operate and maintain the many kinds of equipment developed by science for our modern armed forces. Today, men are being trained in such varied fields as radio, radar, meteorology, mechanics, electronics, photography, and many others. As Army specialists, these men are embarking on careers that offer wonderful opportunities for advancement, high living standards, valuable experience, and liberal retirement benefits. A career in today's United States Army offers excellent opportunities for young men with intelligence and ambition. For full information, visit your nearest United States Army and United States Air Force recruiting station. And now your Army and your Air Force present the proudly we hail production, Recipe for Deceit. The trouble with most real-life heroes is that somehow they take you by surprise. In the first place, they don't look the way they're supposed to. After all, tradition says a hero is usually tall and handsome. All in all, the answer to a maiden's prayer. Well, what can we say about Sergeant Melvin Dilbert? Sergeant Dilbert is an authentic hero, even though Dilbert himself would admit he isn't quite cut out for the part.
To begin with, Sergeant Dilbert is round and chubby. And every day it seems to him that his forehead is becoming just a little bit higher. But the sergeant is a philosopher. After all, he came into the world without much hair, so it's quite in order that he stay that way. The sergeant has 14 years in service. He spent World War II in Africa and Europe and put in 15 months in Korea. Yet he'll be the first to tell you he never fired a shot at any of our country's enemies. Did Napoleon say an army moves on its stomach? Sergeant Dilbert agrees most heartily. After all, men must eat and someone must feed them. Dilbert says that the U.S. Army contains the finest group of chowhounds in the world, bless them. So, Sergeant Dilbert, mess steward to a headquarters company stationed near Vienna, treats his men right, because his business is food, and you better not leave anything on the plate.
Everybody got enough to eat?
Sarge, what's this?
What do you think of it?
Looks to me like stew.
The biggest chef in Vienna gave me this recipe, and you call it stew, huh? 6 hours I spent soaking the vegetables in garlic sauce, and you call it stew?
Hey, don't blow your lid, Sarge. It's not bad. You know something? Pretty good.
Stew, you. Why do I bother with you guys? I could feed you boiled turnip. I could toss warm over food at you. Stew. Well, one thing's for sure, I don't have to listen to you guys crap, and I can go home and work in one of the biggest restaurants in New York with people who appreciate good food.
Yeah.
Stew.
Lots of ketchup, Maxwell.
Ketchup? Ketchup? You're going to put ketchup in my beef bourguignon? You're going to put ketchup on that?
Why not? I put ketchup on everything.
Oh, why do I bother? Why do I waste my time?
Hey, Sarge, are there any seconds?
Yeah, there's seconds on the ketchup. Put it in your ice cream.
Well, that's Melvin Dilbert, Sergeant, Mess Steward Extraordinary. He's going to be the hero of our story. And when the boys of his headquarters company found out about his action, just as you will, a more surprised group of men couldn't be found on the continent of Europe. Typical reaction.
Sergeant Dilbert? Chubby Dilbert? I got a month's pay here. Says they made a mistake.
Dilbert, what did he do? Hit the guy with a frying pan?
That figures. I bet the guy went and put ketchup on Dilbert's chicken fricassee.
But there were some who read about it and weren't entirely surprised. For instance, a bus driver in Chicago who'd been in a rifle company with the 45th Division in Italy.
Hey, Henrietta. Remember this Sergeant Dilbert I was telling you about? The mess sergeant and my whole outfit?
Look, I don't want to hear another word about what a rotten cook I am compared to him.
Oh, honey.
Some wives have to put up with a lot of stuff about their mother-in-law's cooking.
Oh, honey.
I have to compete with an army mess sergeant.
Yeah, but...
What about him?
His name's in the paper.
What did he do? Win a pie baking contest?
No, honey.
Well, what did he do? Find some fella's wife in the kitchen trying to steal some of his recipes.
Yeah, cut it out, will ya? He did plenty of guts for what he did. Yeah, and I ain't surprised. You know, nothing could ever stop that guy. I remember with the time in Salerno. It was raining for a week. And there I was, standing knee-deep in water in my foxhole.
Do I get a medal for listening to these war stories?
All day, me and my buddy were eating cold K-rations. Boy, what you wouldn't have given for some hot chow. Well, there was a barrage going on, see? 88s and mortars flying all over the place.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, somebody falls into the hole with us. Whom do you think it was?
Santa Claus?
No, it was Dilbert. He was bringing stew and hot coffee up to the line. None of this hanging back warm and dry at the command post for him. No, sirree. He was bringing hot chow right up to the line. And let me tell you something. He didn't have to do it.
All in all, Sergeant Melvin Dilbert might be considered a happy man. He was doing the work that he liked, and he was doing it well. If some of the guys in the outfit put ketchup on Dilbert's master creations, well, most geniuses fail to receive recognition in their lifetimes. After all, even Will Shakespeare knew what it was to sit in the audience and hear people laugh at the wrong places in Hamlet. And let's face it, Sergeant Dilbert was a good cook because first and foremost he liked to eat. And so, you might say, that was the underlying reason he became a hero. What does a postman do on his day off? Simple, he goes for a walk. And Sergeant Dilbert? Why, he'd go to a restaurant. On this particular day, Melvin Dilbert was strolling along a narrow street in a suburb of Vienna, somewhat off the beaten track, when he passed by a tiny cafe. He stood in the doorway, and a delightful odor filled his nostrils. Dilbert knew at once that something good was cooking inside, being cooked by someone who knew his trade. Enough for Sergeant Dilbert.
Will the sergeant order?
What's very good today?
Chef is preparing his special paprika chicken.
Paprika. Oh, hey, that's for me. The old nose tells me that boy's really on the ball. Bring him a bottle of wine and put it on my bill. Tell him there's a guy out here who really appreciates good cooking.
Yes, sir. Step.
What is it?
What is the recognition signal for the courier that is due here this month?
Is it so difficult for you to remember the most simple instructions?
I asked for information, not a lecture. So?
He is to enter the cafe. Ask for the special dish of the day. He is to praise the chef. Send him some sort of a gratuity, a tip, or perhaps a cigar, or a bottle of wine.
That is what I thought. So, the courier is outside. Look through the partition.
Mm-hmm. I see no one but some fat American sergeant.
A man dressed in the uniform of a United States sergeant. Remember last month the courier wore the clothes of a British captain?
Yeah. Somehow he does not look like a courier.
Oh, no matter. He has given the first recognition signal to me. Now he must give the second to you. If he does, he is our man. Now, give me an order of the chicken paprika.
You may be right. Actually, he does not look like a soldier. That blue insignia, that is the badge awarded to American combat infantrymen. Looks out of place on him. We must advise him that he is overdoing his disguise.
Oh, man. That's what I call good eating.
Did you enjoy the chicken, sir?
Oh, in-house. You know, I'd like to make this up for the guys some Sunday for dinner. Not that they deserve it, you know. Hey, listen, Frolene. You suppose maybe I could swindle the recipe out of the chef?
Oh, Step very jealously guards the recipe. He will tell no one. He will not even allow anyone in the kitchen while he prepares the chicken.
Oh. Well, look, can he come out for a minute and say hello? The guy can cook like that's the guy I have to meet. Tell him I'm a cook, too. And, I was going to call myself a chef, but after tasting that chicken, I guess I'm just a cook. A ham and egg frying cook.
And I will see if Step is busy, sir. Go outside, Step. He said the correct statement. He wants the recipe.
Yeah, reach behind the stove and get the envelope. What would you say is his nationality?
No, it is difficult to place. Obviously, he has studied the American speech and idiom and speaks it to perfection. I would say perhaps a bit too much perfection. It is somewhat overdone.
It is not our problem to advise the couriers on their disguises. We are here to relay information and remain in the background. Your man is outside. Get the task over with. Herr Sergeant?
Oh, Herr Chef. Buddy, I never tasted better chicken.
Thank you, Herr Sergeant. Dankeschön. Lotte tells me you asked for the recipe.
Oh, yeah, well, I'd sure like to have it, but if you say no, I'll understand. No hard feelings.
But you did ask.
Oh, sure, I had to ask.
It's yours. I have it written here in this envelope. I could not very well tell it to you. Others might overhear.
Oh, sure. Yeah, believe me, Chef, the secret is safe as far as I'm concerned. I could tell you use dill and pepper and some paprika, naturally. Yeah, and you have to saute the chicken first, huh? But you got it all written down, huh?
The instructions are explicit.
Oh, fine. Yeah, I appreciate this, you know. It's sure nice of you to give it to me.
Now, you cannot go wrong. Each step is carefully noted.
Oh, don't you worry. I know this business. It'll come out right. Don't you worry. Oh, hey, now it's 3:30. I got to get supper going back at the company. And thanks a million for the recipe, Chef.
Use it well.
Yeah, sure. I'll let you know how I made out, too, huh? So long, Chef. Auf Wiedersehen.
Wiedersehen. An extremely experienced, capable operator.
Yeah. I told you he plays the American soldier perfectly.
As soon as he received this information, he did not delay. He left at once. And he made everything seem so natural. Suppose a member of counterintelligence were in the room. Could he possibly suspect that the men were anything but a sergeant in the American army?
Hey, ready to get chow started, Sarge? What'll it be, steak or chicken? You didn't say. Miller, tonight we're going to feed them chicken. Southern fried, huh? Nope. We're going to go native. I got a new recipe. Hey, Sarge, huh? Something good, huh? Miller, this is going to beat everything we ever served. I just tried it out this afternoon. I got the recipe right here. Well, how do you make it? It's going to be my little secret. Go on, light the stove, son. I know I'm going to need some flour, some tomatoes, carrots. Hey, wait a minute. Give me a couple of seconds to study this whole recipe, and I'll give you the whole list, huh? Yeah. Tomatoes. How many pounds, Sarge? We got some fresh or... Hey, you want to open some cans? Carrots, we're loaded with... Now, wait a minute. Let me read this, huh? It says here, report at 9:30 p.m. to 178 Königstrasse. Report at 9:30 p.m. to 178 Königstrasse when you will receive the blueprint. Hey, Sarge. What'd you say? What? Oh, is that guy kidding? Allied troop disposition. What are you talking about, Sarge? Wait a minute. Hey, this is no gag. I don't know why or how they... Hey, Sarge. Don't you feel well? Miller, I got to see the old man right now. Yeah, but what about the recipe? Hey, Sarge, we got to get chow started. You take care of supper tonight, huh, Miller? But, Sarge, what'll I feed him? Anything at all. But make it good.
You are listening to the Proudly We Hail production Recipe for Deceit. Our story will continue in just a moment after this important message. It shall not happen here. That's the unspoken prayer of every man in the United States Army. That's the unspoken reason for our growing military might. But the time has come to speak. The time has come to tell of that small phrase, those 5 words, it shall not happen here. Let us speak only to those young men of America who have not taken pause to think. Let's shout it in a voice that will reach into every city and village across the length and breadth of this great land. Young men, you are needed. You are needed to help preserve the peace. You are needed to serve in your United States Army to ensure for your loved ones that it shall not happen here. You are urged to visit your local United States Army and United States Air Force recruiting station at your earliest opportunity and ask about the technical careers of the United States Army. The need is urgent. You are listening to Proudly We Hail, and now we present the second act of Recipes for Deceit.
And that's the whole story, sir. I just went into the joint to have some lunch, you see, and I asked the chef for the recipe. Oh, man, that was really chicken.
And this is the recipe, I take it?
Yes, sir.
This is why I called you, Captain Hansen.
Well, we've blundered into something, all right. Question is now, procedure.
Well, it's in the hands of your section, Captain.
These papers mention an address. The courier is to proceed there and pick up the actual information. Well, we can do one of two things. We can raid the place and make some arrests, which isn't too good an idea because we can be spotted as we approach. Paper can be destroyed. People we want might get away. And there's another way.
Well, what's that?
Sergeant Dilbert, how much service do you have?
14 years, sir.
Mostly in what assignment?
The kitchen, sir. Second cook, first cook, mess sergeant.
Well, that's out then. You don't have the training.
Training? Training for what, sir?
Well, had an experienced man fallen into a setup like this, we might be in a position to make some real progress. But, I'm afraid...
Captain, excuse me, sir, but I've been thinking about this. Why not?
Well, I couldn't order you on this type of assignment, Sergeant. It's dangerous. You've never had the proper training for this kind of mission.
Well, maybe that's what's needed, sir. I mean, well, so look at the way it worked out. Now, just naturally, they figured me for the guy. Now, why? Because I'm the least likely fellow you'd think was an agent.
Yes, I know all about it, but I don't think you could maintain the deception long enough. In my opinion, you'd get yourself into trouble. We wouldn't get what we want.
Oh. Well, sir, you just said you wouldn't order me to follow through on this, huh? Can I ask a question?
What is it?
Well, would you order me not to do it?
What time is it, Major?
6:30.
3 hours until 9:30. Dilbert, fortunately, I don't have to make this decision.
Actually, the captain didn't have to make the decision. Neither did the major. There was a 1-hour session, 6 officers and Sergeant Dilbert, and the air was filled with pros and cons, yeses, nos. It could work, it won't work. Why lose a good man who hasn't a chance? Maybe he does have a chance. But basically, the decision belonged to Sergeant Dilbert.
Sergeant Dilbert? Yes, Colonel Haynes?
Good luck.
I think I can bring it off, sir.
Follow the instructions in the envelope to the letter. We're going to cover you as closely as we can. Now, one thing. Don't try to become a hero. At the first sign of trouble, don't try to bluff it out. Yell. Make noise. We'll bail you out. That understood?
Yes, sir.
You better get ready, Dilbert. It's 7:30.
Yes, sir.
All right, gentlemen. First, let me tell you that we have the real courier. Picked him up half an hour ago. So that removes one of the major concerns. Now, suppose we consider this map. 178 Königstrasse. Here it is.
5 streets in all directions. That's not too good.
Well, I'm afraid to surround the area. These people are smart. They'll smell a rat right off. Now, how can we get close to the address to cover, Dill?
I know a way for 4 men to stop right outside the house, sir.
Let's hear it.
On such short notice, it's the best we can do. Of course, one moment, sir, before I say that. We might arrange with the city powerhouse to give us an electric power shut-off in that area. That would give a repair crew an excuse to go there.
I don't like that. Notice there's a hospital across the street. Power failure would affect them, too.
Well, then, this is my original suggestion, sir. I'll need a jeep and 3 of the best men we have.
Dilbert.
Yes, Major.
I understand it's been decided to let you go through with it.
Yes, sir.
You've got a lot of nerve, Dilbert. I just wanted to stop by and wish you the best of luck.
Thank you, sir.
I want to give you this. It's a .20 caliber, but it's deadly. You can hide it under your shirt. It won't show.
Well, sir, thanks, but, well, I've been getting by in the Army for 14 years, sir, without having to fire anything except the stove. I think I can get by tonight.
Well, I hate to think of you being unarmed, Dilbert.
Oh, I won't be unarmed, sir. I got me a first-class weapon right here.
Hmm? Well, where?
Right here, sir.
I don't see anything.
Yeah, this.
Well, that's just a pack of cigarettes.
Oh, but, sir, there's more than cigarettes in this. And it's a first-class weapon.
Come in.
Sit down. You've come here for what purpose?
I picked up an envelope with instructions.
Where?
Chef's Cafe.
I will take the envelope.
Here you are.
Good. Chef, water. This is the man to whom you gave the instructions?
Yeah.
This is the one.
What is that? Look out the window.
It is a jeep with 4 American soldiers.
All right, what's the matter with this crate? I don't know, sir. Well, take a look, will you? I got a date with this bag at 10 o'clock.
I'm just calling about a driver. I thought you just had this wagon over to maintenance.
All right, you guys just sit back and let me look, huh? 3 weeks, Jeff. I've been after this girl for a date now. A knucklehead like you had to come on.
now why don't everybody relax and take it easy?
Evidently they're having trouble with their engine.
Give him his instructions and let us go from here.
These are troop dispositions, French, English, and American. A tabulation of heavy weapons and tanks. You will report to our sector and see Commissar Fedorov. You know him?
Fedorov?
Of course you know him. He's chief of your section.
Oh, yes, sure. Fedorov, sure. Hey.
What's the matter?
Cover this one with your pistol, sir.
Hey, what's the idea?
The idea, my friend, is there is no Commissar Fedorov. Lotta, see if the soldiers are still outside in the car.
Yeah. One of them is looking at the motor.
You're probably here to cover this one.
But he gave the recognition signal.
The party will deal with you, sir. And Lotta.
But we thought...
Be quiet. First, we must get out of this.
Oh, it won't be difficult. We have the tunnel in the basement.
The soldiers will come in here finally, search the house and discover the tunnel.
But by then we can be far away.
Well, let's get what we can from this one. Hey, who are you? Who are you?
We have no time now. Let us take him with us.
My friend, you will talk to us. Depend on it. When we finish up with you, you will wish you were never born.
Yes, Wade. No tricks.
I had better go first with the flashlight.
You. Why? What are you reaching for? Keep your hands where I can see them. Got it. See, there's a weapon.
Stand still. Huh. Oh, just a package of cigarettes.
Yeah, just a package of cigarettes. Look, fellas, I can smoke, can I?
Give him back his cigarettes.
Thanks. Hey, anybody want one?
No. Come on.
Oh, come on, have one. Have a smoke. Step. What's the matter? He threw something at me. It's burning my eyes. Hey, guys, come and run it. Water, pick up a gun. All right, drop it, sister. Drop it. Where are you going, Sep, buddy? Boy, what if you guys wasn't outside?
Blake, let's take these guys back to headquarters. I'll bet we caught some mighty big fish. Well, Sergeant, you certainly know how to use your hands. How'd you get the gun away from him?
Oh, Captain, every guy to his own trade, I always say. Now, sir, in my kitchen, what's the most important item?
How would I know?
Pepper, Captain. Pepper. You see, I have the cigarette pack, have 4. That's good for cooking anything. I guess I cooked that goose tonight, huh?
Young man, why not let a thought for tomorrow be your thought for today? In selecting your life's work, it's important to consider all of the requirements of a satisfactory career. Opportunities for advancement, dignity and importance of your work, permanence of your job, living standards, retirement benefits, and value of experience. When you choose a career in the United States Army, you'll find it's more than just another means of earning a living. Your Army career will be a way of life, rich in fine associations, the satisfaction that stems from public service, and the opportunity for achievement and adventure in the far corners of the world. So, why not let a thought for tomorrow be your thought for today? Visit your nearest United States Army and United States Air Force recruiting station right away and ask about the career opportunities in the United States Army. This has been another program on Proudly We Hail, presented transcribed in cooperation with this station. Proudly We Hail is produced by the Recruiting Publicity Center for the United States Army and United States Air Force Recruiting Service. This is Kenneth Banghart speaking and inviting you to tune in this same station next week for another interesting story on Proudly We Hail.
Kreml Hair Tonic and Kreml Shampoo present the new adventures of Sherlock Holmes, starring Nigel Bruce as Dr. Watson and Tom Conway as Sherlock Holmes. Here we are once more in Dr. Watson's firelit study. The wind is howling outside, but inside the heavy red curtains have been drawn across the windows, and the only sound we can hear is the cheerful crackling of the logs in the fireplace. Good evening, Dr. Watson.
Good evening, Mr. Bell.
You don't know how lucky you are that you don't have to go out on a night like this.
Yes, it's one of the advantages of having retired from active medical practice. You know the old adage, man works from sun to sun, but woman's work's never done. It's a base libel as far as doctors are concerned. You never know when Mr. Smith is going to acquire a black eye, or Mrs. McTavish may decide to present her an addition to the clan.
Never a dull moment, eh, Dr. Watson?
Oh, dear me, no. That's one thing I've never complained of. If it wasn't a patient who disturbed what little routine I had, it was Sherlock Holmes. I remember one bitter February evening. It was the second winter after my marriage. I just settled down to my after-dinner pipe when the doorbell rang. It was a note from Holmes. It said, "Come at once if convenient. If inconvenient, come all the same."
And you went, of course.
Now, Mr. Bell, you'll hear all about that in good time, but haven't you something to tell our listeners?
Yes, Dr. Watson, I have. Men, attractive, well-groomed hair does a great deal to give a man self-assurance, to say nothing of helping his appearance. And I'm sure you'll be interested in hearing more about this modern trend in hair grooming, which has become such a nationwide favorite among America's most successful men. It's called Kreml Hair Tonic. This highly specialized hair tonic contains a combination of hair grooming ingredients which has never been duplicated in any other hair tonic. Yes, that's exactly why Kreml gives a man's hair such a natural, well-groomed look and keeps it in place longer. Keeps every hair in perfect order from morning till night. Yet Kreml never gives hair that greasy, patent leather look. Kreml keeps hair looking mighty handsome with a rich, healthy-looking luster. Yet it always feels and looks clean on your hair and scalp. No other hair tonic keeps hair more handsomely groomed, yet it never looks greasy. So men, for better groomed hair, change to Kreml. K-R-E-M-L. Kreml Hair Tonic. Now, Dr. Watson, when you received the mysterious message from Sherlock Holmes, you at once went round to Baker Street, I suppose.
Yes, curiosity has always been my Achilles' heel. Well, when I arrived at Baker Street, I found Holmes huddled in his armchair, his knees drawn up and his pipe in his mouth. He was sunk in a profound reverie, and I'd been in the room several moments before he became aware of my existence.
Oh, so there you are, Watson, there you are.
Obviously. I've been here for 7 minutes, as a matter of fact.
Unimportant, completely unimportant, and uninteresting. Watson, have you ever speculated on the importance of a knowledge of dogs in detective work?
Dogs? Well, naturally. Bloodhounds, sleuthhounds...
No, I'm not interested in that phase of the subject. It's too obvious. There is another side, far more subtle.
I suppose there is, but I'm dashed do I know...
You recollect in the case you so sensationally wrote up as The Adventure of the Copper Beeches?
Yes, but the case was sensational. In that instance, it wasn't the dog. It was the fact that the master of the house was willing to pay a sizable sum to...
Don't prattle, Watson, don't prattle.
Prattle?
I was about to point a moral. In the case of the Copper Beeches, I was able, by noting the actions of a rather vicious child, to draw some startling deductions as to the criminal instincts of its father, who was considered a thoroughly respectable citizen.
Oh, of course, yes, I remember, but what's that got to do with...
My line of thought about dogs is analogous. Whoever saw a frisky dog in a gloomy family, or a sad dog in a happy one? Snarling people have snarling dogs. Dangerous people have dangerous dogs.
Surely, Holmes, you didn't rout me out on a night like this to discuss the temperaments of dogs?
Not in general, no. What interests me is why Professor Presbury's faithful wolfhound Roy endeavors to bite him.
You mean Professor Presbury, the famous camp physiologist?
Quite. The dog, until recently a most devoted animal, has attacked his master twice.
Huh?
What do you make of it?
The dog is ill.
Possibly. But he attacks no one else. Nor does he molest his master save on very special occasions. Curious, Watson, very curious. Ah, that must be Mr. Bennett, Professor Presbury's assistant. He is before his time. His appointment was 8:30. Come in, come in. Ah, good evening, Mr. Bennett.
Good evening.
This is my friend and colleague, Dr. Watson. I couldn't consider undertaking a case or solving an enigma without his invaluable aid.
Oh, Holmes, well, pay no attention to Mr. Bennett. He's pulling my leg again.
Delighted to meet you, sir. I hope you'll forgive me arriving so early, Mr. Holmes, but Edith is so worried about her father, and naturally
Quite so. Edith, my dear Watson, is Professor Presbury's daughter, to whom Mr. Bennett is engaged to be married. Am I right?
Yes, Mr. Holmes, I have that honor.
Oh, congratulations, young man, congratulations. Ideal state matrimony.
Watson, stop chattering.
Oh, I was only going to say that I've only been married.
Now then, Mr. Bennett, I believe you gave me the salient points of the case in your letter, but I've not had the opportunity to relate them to Dr. Watson. So if you will be good enough to go over the matter again...
Certainly, Mr. Holmes. The professor, as you may know, Dr. Watson, is a man of splendid reputation.
Yes, indeed he is.
A trifle positive, I might even say combative, but there has never been a breath of scandal, at least until a month ago.
Dear me, don't tell me that old Presbury started to sow his wild oats at his age. I always considered him the soul of respectability.
Well, you see, early last fall he became attached to the daughter of Professor Morphy. It was not the reason courting of an elderly man, but rather the passionate frenzy of youth.
In short, his family considered the infatuation rather excessive?
Exactly. And so I gathered did the young lady, although her father, Professor Morphy, favored the match.
Yes. Presbury is fairly well-to-do, I understand.
Yes. About a month ago, Professor Presbury did something he's never done before. He left home without telling anyone he was going. A fortnight later, he returned rather travel-worn.
Oh, where'd he been?
Well, he refused to say. By chance, however, I received a letter from a friend of mine in Prague, saying he'd seen the professor at a distance.
And now comes the remarkable part of the story.
Oh?
Yes, Dr. Watson. From that time on, a curious change came over the professor. Those around him had the inexplicable feeling that he was under some influence that darkened his better nature.
You don't think that he was hypnotized, possibly, or mentally unbalanced in some way?
No, on the contrary. His lectures were more brilliant than ever. His mind was singularly alert. But there was something new about him, something sinister. His daughter tried again and again to penetrate the mask he had put on, but in vain. He behaved to her almost as though she were a stranger. In fact, all of his friends and co-workers noticed a rather singular change of personality.
And the incident of the letters, Mr. Bennett. Don't forget that.
I was just coming to that. You see, Dr. Watson, the professor has never had any secrets from me. I handled every paper which came in to him and opened all his letters.
Yes, of course.
Shortly after his return, all this was changed. Certain letters began to arrive, marked with an X under the stamp. These I was in no account to touch.
What was the handwriting like?
Decidedly illiterate. The envelopes had the EC mark.
East Central, Not exactly the portion of London one would expect the professor to be in touch with.
The letters were curious enough, but not more curious than the little wooden box.
Wooden box?
Yes. One of those quaint carved things one associates with a visit to Germany. I discovered it one morning in the drawer of Professor Presbury's desk. He had sent me into his study in search of a cannula.
I put it on my desk, Bennett, in front of the inkwell.
It's not here, Professor Presbury. I'll try the drawers. It's usually in the upper right. No, not here. Perhaps the left one. No. I say, Professor, what a curious box. I've never seen that in here before.
What box?
This one with the carving. You must have got it on your trip to Germany.
What trip to Germany? Who said I was in Germany?
Professor Presbury, I didn't mean to...
You sniveling little cat. You contemptible snooper.
I
What do you mean by poking about among my things? Put that box down.
Let me explain.
Put that box down, I say. Now get out of here. Get out before I break every bone in your body.
Jolly chap, the Professor. Sounds as if he were heading for an apoplectic fit.
Do you remember the date of that outburst, Mr. Bennett?
It was December the 2nd. It was on that very day that Roy the Wolfhound made his first attack on the Professor.
An attack? Do you mean that the dog actually bit him?
Well, he certainly tried to.
When was the next attack?
December the 11th, and again on December the 20th. After that, we had to banish Roy to the stables.
Singular, most singular. Those dates were new to me.
There have been some even stranger developments since I wrote you, Mr. Holmes.
Yes?
What I speak of occurred the night before last. It was really a terrifying experience.
Yes, go on.
I live with Professor Presbury, as you know, Mr. Holmes. I had retired rather early and was correcting the papers of a lecture I was to deliver in the morning. At 11:30, all was quiet, and I blew out my lamp and went to sleep. A little after midnight, I was awakened by a curious shuffling and muttering in the corridor. It was followed by a series of dull knocks on what I took to be Edith's door. I heard her open the door. There was a gasp, and then she uttered a terrible scream. It's all right, darling. I'm coming. What's the matter? Don't look so terrified.
Oh, Edward. Edward, it was horrible. Like a nightmare.
What was? Oh, darling, don't tremble so. I'm here now. Tell me what frightened you.
I thought I heard someone knocking at my door.
I heard it, too.
I got up and opened the door, and there it was, staring up at me.
It? What do you mean? Was it a man?
I don't know. I only know it was something dark and crouching. I screamed and it hurried down the hall, not quite on its hands and knees, with its face sunk between its shoulders.
How awful. You lock yourself in and I'll have a look.
No, don't leave.
But, darling, I...
Shh. Do you hear anything?
No. Nothing that...
There it is again. In the ivy outside the window. As though someone were climbing up the wall.
But that's impossible. The window's a good 20 feet from the ground. Nobody would dare.
Look. On the windowsill. A hand. It's drawing itself up.
Here comes the head. Good heavens, what a horrible face. The eyes, that lid.
Oh, Edward! Edward! It's Father!
Well, Watson, what do you make of that? The professor crawling about in this curious fashion.
Lumbago, probably. I've known it to double a man up.
Oh, rubbish, Watson. Did you ever hear of a man with lumbago scaling a 20-foot wall?
Well, now that you mention it, no.
Mr. Bennett, how did Professor Presbury explain his actions the next morning?
He seemed to have no recollection of them. No recollection of them at all.
When did you say this happened, Mr. Bennett?
The night before last.
The 4th of February, That rather complicates matters. And last night, did anything further happen?
The only unusual thing I heard was Roy, barking furiously a little after midnight. Poor fellow, he's been chained down at the stable. I must confess, if anything else happened, neither Edith nor I would have known it. You see, we both had a feeling of impending danger and slept with our doors locked and the shutters barricaded.
Very sensible procedure. I would suggest that you get Miss Presbury out of the house for a few days. Send her away until we can clear this matter up.
I've already persuaded her to pay a visit to her aunt in Cambridge.
Splendid. Now, as to the dates of these seizures, you will say the first was December the 2nd, the next December the 11th, and the third...
Here's a list of the dates. When I first observed abnormality in the professor's behavior, I felt it my duty to obtain all possible data about the case.
Excellent. Let's see. Yes, as I thought, the intervals are regular. Putting 2 and 2 together, let us say that every 9 days the professor takes some strong drug, which has a passing but highly poisonous effect. He learned to take this drug while in Prague, and is now supplied by an intermediary who resides in the East Central District of London.
Yes, but the dog and the creeping man in the passage. Holmes, things do fantastic to be explained by simple addiction to drugs.
It's not simple, not in the least. But patience, Watson, patience. We've at least made a beginning. Our next step is to obtain an interview with the professor himself. What is the best time to catch him in, Mr. Bennett? When would he be free to see us?
About 11 in the morning, Mr. Holmes.
Good. You may expect us at that time tomorrow.
In just a moment, we'll keep our appointment with the professor. But first, men, remember, if you want your hair to look healthy and handsome, one of the first requisites is a hygienic scalp. And when you buy a hair tonic, be smart. Enjoy the extra advantages of a highly specialized hair tonic like Kreml. Kreml contains a combination of hair grooming ingredients which is found in no other hair tonic. This is why it keeps unruly hair neatly in place longer, with a rich, healthy-looking luster. Yet Kreml never gives hair that old-fashioned, greasy, patent leather look. It never leaves hair feeling sticky or dirty. But men, Kreml does lots more than keep hair looking handsome. Kreml is simply great to lubricate a dry scalp. At the same time, it removes itchy, loose dandruff. A quick massage with Kreml helps stimulate the cutaneous circulation of the scalp. Notice how alive your scalp feels, how it tingles. And if your hair is so dry it breaks off and falls, start using Kreml at once, because Kreml actually helps condition the hair, in that it leaves it feeling softer, more pliable, makes it look as if it had some body to it. Buy a bottle of Kreml at any drug counter. Ask for an application at your barber shop. Use Kreml daily for better groomed hair, a more hygienic scalp. Kreml, Kreml Hair Tonic. Dr. Watson, what happened next in the strange case of Professor Presbury?
Well, early the next morning found us near the town of Camford, approaching a large, rather gloomy house.
This must be the house, Watson. Notice the ivy vines reaching up to the bedroom windows. See? Some of the leaves have been torn away. The vines look decidedly the worse for wear.
Oh, surely no man could possibly climb up that way.
No normal man, Watson. No normal man. But look, I fancy that is the professor peering at us from behind the curtains in that second window. Doesn't seem to be too well pleased at our presence.
Fierce-looking chap. Tremendously vigorous for his age. I say, Holmes, do you think we ought?
Ought what?
Well, I mean, what excuse are you going to give for our call?
Assuming that Professor Presbury's memory is a trifle defective during his bad spells, how is he to know that he didn't send for us himself?
Well, isn't that rather skating on thin ice?
Possibly, my dear Watson, possibly.
I must say, I don't relish this interview at all.
Shh! Someone's coming. It's Presbury himself. For heaven's sake, Watson, pull yourself together. You look as though you've been caught stealing sheep. Good morning. Professor Presbury, I believe?
Yes.
I'm Holmes, Sherlock Holmes, the detective.
Oh, yes, I believe I've heard of you. Won't you come in?
This is my friend, Dr. Watson.
How do you do? Oh, sorry.
Come this way, gentlemen. Into my study.
Oh, thank you, sir, thank you. What a charming room. Delightful, eh, Holmes?
Pray sit down, gentlemen. Now, what can I do for you?
Why, that was the question I was about to put to you.
To me, sir?
Yes. Apropos of the communication you sent me.
A letter? I sent you a letter?
No, not exactly a letter.
A telegram, then? Have you got it with you?
No, I can't say I have.
No, I dare say not. Because I sent you no telegram.
Impossible. Why, then, someone's been playing a practical joke on us both.
That statement, Mr. Holmes, is highly questioned.
Really, Professor Presbury, I can only apologize for this needless intrusion and hope that you will forgive me.
But that is hardly enough, Mr. Holmes. What kind of fool do you take me for?
Why,
You know I didn't send for you. You can't get out of this so easily.
I say, steady, sir,
I'll
steady.
show you, you scoundrel.
Put down that paperweight, Professor.
I should...
Consider your position. You can't afford a scandal. After all, I'm rather well known. You cannot possibly afford to treat me with such
I
discourtesy.
should think not.
Come on, Watson. The interview's closed. Good day, Professor.
Phew. What a narrow escape. The professor was certainly in a dangerous mood.
Yes, our learned friend's nerves are somewhat out of order. Highly inflammable temper.
Maniacal, I should say. And yet his mind seemed perfectly clear.
Too clear. That was my miscalculation. His memory is quite reliable, unfortunately. Strange. Very strange.
I say, Holmes, I'm a bit disappointed in you. All that trouble for nothing.
Not quite for nothing. We have seen the gentleman and have gained a personal contact. We have also discovered the address of the intermediary in London.
Well, how in thunder...
The professor wrote to him this morning. I deciphered the name from the blotting pad on the professor's desk.
I say.
The gentleman's name is Dorek, and he lives in the Commercial Road. And now, Watson, I'm a busy man. We will drop this case until next Tuesday evening.
Tuesday? But why Tuesday?
On that date, if my calculations are correct, the professor should have another of his curious spells. We must be on hand to notice the developments and to prevent a catastrophe.
Mr. Holmes, this isn't my idea of the way to spend a pleasant evening. Look at those clouds cutting across the moon.
Yes. I told you to bring your greatcoat. I suspected it might be a trifle drafty.
Drafty? My legs are quite numb from crouching behind this gooseberry bush. Why did you have to pick this particular night?
If the cycle of 9 days holds good, we shall have the professor at his worst tonight. And moreover, I ascertained that he received a packet from the man Dorek this morning. Yes, we shall see. We shall see.
Look. Someone has lit a light in the corner bedroom.
That must be the professor. So I was right in my calculations. Things are beginning to happen. I warned Bennett not to try to interfere with him, but to follow him at a safe distance.
Safe? You don't think that he's as dangerous as that, do you?
I don't think so. I know it.
What?
Have you your revolver handy?
Yes, but you don't think I should be obliged to use it? Huh?
Oh, control your nerves, Watson. I can hear your teeth chattering.
It's not nerves. It's a cold.
The professor's symptoms are particularly interesting. Apart from these fits, he has more energy and vitality than ever. And then his knuckles. Did you notice his knuckles?
No, I can't say that I did.
Thick and horny. Quite unusual for a man. Very curious knuckles that can only be explained by the mode of progression observed in... The knuckles. But of course. And the dog. And the ivy. Why didn't I think of that before?
Holmes. Look. He's opened the side door. There he is. Standing in the doorway, leaning forward with his arms dangling. Of course. Now he's coming down the drive. Wait, he's not walking, he's crouching. Running and skipping along on his hands and feet. Holmes, it's uncanny. It's almost as if he were possessed by some strange, unnatural force.
There he goes, round the corner of the house. Quick, Watson, we must follow him.
Here comes Bennett.
Oh, Mr. Holmes, have you seen him?
Yes, he went this way. Come along.
He's worse than usual tonight. I could hear him through my door, chattering and jabbering to himself.
There he is. He's crouching at the foot of the ivy.
Now he's climbing. Actually springing from vine to vine, his dressing gown flapping in the wind.
How horrible. He looks like some huge bat glued against the side of the house. It's uncanny.
Now he's swinging himself over to that tree. He's coming down again. He's heading for the stables.
Come along. We mustn't lose sight of him. We can't let him get away from us.
The dog has caught sight of him.
Oh, you kill him if you can get at him.
No, the professor's staying out of reach. Look at him crouched on the ground like that.
He's teasing the dog. He's throwing stones at it. Oh, this isn't human.
Quite, Watson, quite. Professor Presbury isn't human.
Great heavens, Holmes, what do you mean?
Look out. Well, his leash is broken. He's after the professor. He'll kill him.
Come on.
He's got him by the throat.
Drag him apart. Come on, drag him apart.
Down, I say. I've got him by the collar.
Watson, help me carry the professor into the house. His throat is badly mangled. Come in, Watson, come in. I've been looking over the professor's laboratory while you were treating his injuries. How's he coming along?
As well as can be expected. He'll pull through, I fancy. The wound was dangerously near the carotid artery. The hemorrhage was rather serious, but, I say, what's that you got in your hand?
The professor's little German box. Curious, isn't it?
Yes, but it's open. You've broken the lock. Really, Holmes, you think that you ought to go...
Probably not. But not being deterred by your scruples, I've gone ahead. The contents are quite enlightening, if your conscience will permit you to look.
2 files, one empty and one nearly full. And a letter with a cross under the stamp.
Yes, that's from our Mr. Dorek, the London intermediary. It contains another note that completely solves the mystery. Here it is. It's signed H. Lowenstein.
H. Lowenstein? But I say, that's the Lowenstein.
Obviously, Watson, obviously.
I mean, it's Dr. Lowenstein, the famous Prague physician, who claims to have discovered a serum that will rejuvenate people. It's been tabooed, of course, by the medical profession, because he refuses to reveal its source.
And for a good reason. Here, read the letter.
Have a look. Honored colleague, since your visit, I have thought much of your case. I beg you report fully to me on the results of my treatments. It is possible that the serum of anthropoid would have been better. I have, as I have explained, used black-faced langur because a specimen was accessible. The langur is, of course, a crawler and a climber, while anthropoid walks erect and is in every way nearer to man. But I say, Holmes, it is beastly. The langur is an ape.
Quite. It is found on the slopes of the Himalayas, and is the biggest and most human of the climbing monkeys.
Then that serum explains the professor's recent peculiarities. He used it in an attempt to regain his youth.
Yes, giving himself a dose at 9-day intervals, with the curious results we've witnessed. It's dangerous to trick nature, Watson. When man tries to rise above it, he is liable to fall below it. Even the highest type of man may revert to the animal if he leaves the straight road of destiny.
What a curious story, Dr. Watson. But did Holmes manage to stop the treatment?
Indeed. He wrote to Dr. Lowenstein and told him that he would be held criminally responsible if he continued to circulate his poisons. And that was the end of that.
Why do you suppose the dog noticed the change in his master before anyone else did?
His sense of smell told him. It was the monkey and not the professor whom Roy attacked. Just as it was the monkey who teased the dog.
It's fantastic. I didn't know such things were possible, Dr. Watson.
Oh, dear me, yes. Both in detection and in medicine, things are apt to happen that it is difficult for the lay mind to believe.
And between you and Mr. Holmes, you covered both fields. Yes, 221 Baker Street must have been an exciting place to reside when you both lived there.
Yes, Mr. Bell, as you remarked a few minutes ago, we never had a dull moment.
Dr. Watson will be back in just a moment to tell you about next week's story. Here's some sensational information for our lady listeners. I'm sure we all know or have heard how divinely beautiful Powers models are. But did you know these famous beauties make up to $35,000 a year?
Which shows they have brains as well as beauty. But seriously, Joe, what impresses me most is that Powers models can afford to spend a fortune on their hair. Yet when they wash it, they rely on inexpensive Kreml shampoo.
Which proves how wonderful Kreml shampoo really is. Powers models were among the first to discover that no other shampoo leaves hair more shining bright with natural gloss and luster.
But under no circumstances does Kreml shampoo ever dry the hair.
Kreml shampoo is not a drying detergent. Kreml shampoo is entirely different.
And you know, after a Kreml shampoo, the hair actually radiates natural, brilliant highlights. And Kreml shampoo has a built-in oil base, which helps hair from becoming dry or brittle. It rinses out so easily and positively never leaves any dull, soapy film.
So, ladies, always wash your hair with Kreml shampoo. It leaves hair a vision of shining, sparkling beauty, yet in no way hurts its texture. Kreml, Kreml shampoo. Now, Dr. Watson, what about next week?
Well, now, let me see. Next week, I think I'll tell you a story about international intrigue in Paris and how, in a vile Apache den, I met a beautiful, glamorous spy and almost...
Almost what, Dr. Watson?
Well, now, Mr. Bell, you'll have to wait next week to find out. I call this story The Adventure of the Scarlet Worm.
Tonight's Sherlock Holmes adventure was adapted from Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's story, The Creeping Man. Nigel Bruce appeared by permission of California Pictures. Tom Conway through the courtesy of Eagle Lion Pictures. The Sherlock Holmes series is produced by Tom McKnight with original music composed and conducted by Alex Steinert. This is Joseph Bell speaking for Kreml Hair Tonic and Kreml Shampoo. and inviting you to be with us next week at this same time when Dr. Watson will tell us about the adventure of the Scarlet Worm. There are 80,000 patients in our veterans' hospitals. Your Red Cross contribution helps place the volunteer efforts of the community at their service. This is just one part of the Red Cross story. Give generously to the Red Cross. This is ABC, the American Broadcasting Company.
Crime does not pay.
Well, did you talk to her?
I talked my head off, darling. She won't listen, Mavis. She won't even listen.
Then make her listen, Howard.
You don't know my wife.
I don't want to know her.
Mavis, darling, are we quarreling?
Seems like it. Oh, Howard, don't you see? I can't. I won't live in the back streets of your life.
In the interest of good citizenship and law enforcement, we present Crime Does Not Pay, based on the famous Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer series of short subjects. In just a moment, you will hear Death on the Upgrade, starring Donald Woods. Now, Crime Does Not Pay, starring Donald Woods as Howard Baker in Death on the Upgrade. To all appearances, Howard and Dorothy Baker were an ideal couple. Married nearly 10 years, they were known in the community in which they lived as two solid, respectable citizens and leaders of the younger set. Howard's income was up in 5 figures. They owned a house, supported the correct community activities, and except for the absence of children, were perfectly happy. So it seemed on the surface. But there were hidden currents in the lives of these two, and one flowed directly from Mavis Hysham.
Oh, Mavis, darling, the one place in the world I can unwind inside is your place.
If I were 5 years older, that would not be a compliment. In fact, I'm not sure it's a compliment now.
I mean it that way, sweet.
I know. But don't you think I ought to excite you? Wind you up inside instead of letting you run down?
That's what makes this so wonderful, darling. Everything seems so right for us. No need to be tense, worried.
Not even the fact that we run our life together by the clock?
By the clock? I don't get it.
Don't you? Care for a diagram?
I care for anything you want.
Well, then look at us, Howard. You can't come to me before a certain time because if you left the office, people would begin to talk. You can't stay past a certain time because if you miss your train home, other people would begin to talk. And don't think, sweetheart, that I haven't seen you snatch a quick look at your watch sometimes when your arms are around me.
Like this?
No. No, Howard, please. I want to talk.
What do we need words for?
In the beginning we didn't, but now we need them to straighten out this mess.
I don't see any mess.
No, I don't suppose you would. Maybe you'd better begin to see it.
Another diagram?
Yes, another diagram. No, I can't talk when you're so... Now, sit over there, darling. I'm serious.
Okay, I'm sitting.
Howard, am I a kind of stinker because I want you with me all the time?
Darling, I thought we loved each other.
We do, of course we do.
That love demands sacrifice.
But only, apparently, from me.
I give you every moment I can.
But I'm selfish, Howard, like every woman who loves a man, and I don't want to share you.
Meaning Dorothy?
Meaning Dorothy.
You know she won't divorce me.
When did you ask her last?
Recently.
You want to have your cake and eat it, too, don't you?
Of course not. I love you, darling. I want to be with you, but But a divorce would ruin everything I've built up in all these years. We can't sacrifice that.
I think we can. And I don't think leaving Dorothy would be as drastic as you say. Darling, speak to her again. Will you, darling? For me.
When you look like that and sound like that, can I say no to anything you ask me?
I've never heard you say it, darling. Now come over here. And no more talk.
No more talk. Well, we're home.
Yes, aren't we?
What is that supposed to mean?
Nothing. Everything.
Well, that's definite.
I was just remembering. We used to have a ritual. I'd go to the garage with you. I'd get out, open the doors, and you'd drive in and I'd close the doors. We used to go into the house together after a kiss. There was a time we couldn't bear to be separated as long as it took you to put the car away.
We're 9 years older now.
Yes, we are. I'll go inside, Howard. Come up after you've put the car away.
Dorothy,
Yes?
will you divorce me, Dorothy?
Isn't the usual place for this scene the living room after dinner? Or is it customary to spring these surprises on a dark street at 1 a.m?
Does the place matter very much?
Not very. It's just colder this way.
You haven't answered me.
Why do you want a divorce, Howard?
We're not happy together anymore.
We were until a year ago. That's when you stopped the ritual in the garage, not 8 or 9 years ago. Last year.
That's done with.
You know what a divorce will do to you, Howard, don't you?
I'm not worried about business. I'm young enough to start over.
No, you're not.
I'm only...
The kind of alimony I'd want and the kind I'd get wouldn't permit you to start over, Howard.
You wouldn't do that.
Oh, wouldn't I? When I know you're just making a fool of yourself over another woman, when I know how miserable you'll be after a year or so, I'm afraid you're just too used to me, Howard. I think you need protection from yourself and the normal urges of a man your age.
My age has nothing to do with it.
Is she beautiful, Howard? Is she much younger than I am, say 23 or so?
No.
Does she wear a strapless evening gown better than I do?
Dorothy.
Does she make you feel flattered, Howard, because she lets you kiss her?
Stop it, Dorothy. I asked a simple question. I'd like a simple answer.
The answer is no. Oh, I'd hoped you weren't going to ask me. If you hadn't, I'd have forgiven, even if I couldn't forget. But you've asked. I say no.
Why no? If you think so little of me now, why do you want to stay tied to me?
Why? Because I'm still in love with the man I married, who isn't you. I'm betting that man will come back to me, and I won't abdicate to any woman. Not any woman. Not ever.
Well, did you talk to her?
I talked my head off, darling. She won't listen, Mavis. She won't even listen.
Then make her listen, Howard.
You don't know my wife.
I don't want to know her.
Mavis, darling, are we quarreling?
Seems like it. Oh, Howard, don't you see? I can't. I won't live in the back streets of your life.
And I don't want you to, my darling. There must be a way. There's got to be a way. Dorothy.
Yes?
I'd like to bring back the man you married. I'd like to find him again.
That's not going to be easy, you know.
I know.
Where would you look first?
Well, in the past at first.
Where in the past?
I was thinking, we used to go on picnics, remember?
I remember.
There was that place on the other side of Pierce Mountain. We loved it there. Do you think we could find me there?
I wouldn't know.
Will you come with me Sunday and look?
Yes, Howard. I'd like to.
Good. We'll take the old lunch basket. I'll make the sandwiches myself, like I did before we were married. Big, thick sandwiches, the kind you never get in stores. Thank you for saying you'll come along, Dorothy. Peaceful out here, Dorothy, isn't it? Maybe that's why... Oh, hear that cowbell, dear? You hear it?
Oh.
Dorothy, what's wrong?
My stomach, it hurts.
Badly? How badly?
I can't breathe. It burns, Howard. A doctor. Oh, help me, Howard.
It's just indigestion, dear. It'll pass.
No, it won't. Oh, Dr. Howard, get me to a doctor. Hurry. If I ever meant anything to you, hurry.
Any better, dear?
I don't know. Maybe I'm getting used to it.
We'll be in town soon, just the other side of the hill.
I don't understand.
Now, don't talk, dear. Just save your strength.
No, I can't. I've got to talk.
For heaven's sake, why?
Because I'm dying.
Don't be foolish.
I'm not being foolish. Not anymore. I was when I trusted you.
Stop it, Dorothy. You'll know better tomorrow.
Will I when I'm dead? Oh, Howard, you didn't take me straight to a doctor. You didn't.
Did you want me to leave all the dishes and the picnic stuff just because you have a stomachache?
Not that alone. Oh, it hurts. It hurts. I don't know what poison you used or where you got it.
Hang on, Dorothy. The top of the grade is up there. See? Where the road curves left. Then it turns down.
It won't turn for me. I'm done. I'm finished. I know it. And you killed me. I'll never know with what. That bothers me. What kind of poison is like this? What kind? Oh.
Dorothy? Done. Timed it right. Now shift into second. Top of the grade. The fence. Wheel will hold straight. Go right through and over. First, jump myself. Now. Goodbye, Dorothy. Burning all right. Quickly now, before someone sees it. I've got to be found as if I were thrown clear of the wreck. Wait for me, Dorothy. Here I come.
In just a moment, Crime Does Not Pay will continue with Death on the Upgrade. Now we continue with Crime Does Not Pay, starring Donald Woods as Howard Baker in Death on the Upgrade. Howard Baker's plan seemed foolproof. His car, with Dorothy's body inside, burned at the foot of the hill, far beneath the broken fence through which it had plunged. He himself lay some 15 feet from the wreck, scratched and bruised, apparently unconscious, where he had permitted himself to roll to a stop. As he lay there, he heard a car on the road slow briefly, then race on its way. Howard knew then that help would soon be there. He was right. Before very long, a green and white car of the state police was climbing the hill on the road above him.
Figure this is another wild goose chase, Sergeant?
You never know, Wilson. Fellow who reported this said the fence was smashed at the top of the curve. See anything?
No, nothing yet. Hey, yeah, I do. Look, looks like something flickering down below, too.
Pull up on the shoulder, Wilson.
Check, Sarge.
Cut the engine, leave it in first. It's a bad grade.
You're not kidding. Hey, look at that fence.
How can I miss it? Hey, you get on the radio. Tell the dispatcher we need an ambulance. I'll take a look down below.
Check, Sarge.
Brother, what a mess. Who's that? Where are you?
What happened? Where am I?
Just take it easy, mister. Be there in a minute.
Where's the car? Where's Dorothy? What happened?
Take it easy, mister. It's like your car went through the guardrail on the road up there.
I don't remember. Dorothy screamed. I guess I couldn't take the curve.
Can you move your legs, sir?
I think so. Yes.
And your arms?
Yes. No broken bones. My wife. Where's my wife?
I haven't found her yet, sir.
What? The car. It's burning. Dorothy.
Easy, mister. We'll find her. You're suffering from shock, mostly. The ambulance is on the way. Now, lie back, mister. Nothing you can do. Everything will be taken care of in a couple of minutes.
Yes.
Sergeant Kincaid, sir. May I see you a moment, Captain?
Come in, Kincaid. What's the trouble?
Well, the Baker crack-up, sir. The one on Pierce Mountain late this afternoon.
That seems simple and tragic enough. What's on your mind?
I don't know, sir. One or two little things.
That's your report?
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't finished it yet, sir.
Meaning that what's bothering you isn't here. All right, Kincaid, what is it?
Well, the car was going up grade. It's pretty steep there, sir.
Go on.
And when I checked the wreck, sir, the gear shift lever was in second position.
Could have fallen in the second when the car turned over.
Yeah, it could have. Baker himself, just shocked. Not a mark on his head. But he was just coming to when I got to the wreck.
Probably fainted.
Yes, sir. Only, if I may, sir.
Yes, go ahead.
Well, it's just a theory, but a car going up that hill in second could make the turn easy. Seems kind of funny, too. He gets tossed clear from behind the wheel, and she's caught in the car. I don't like the way the whole thing feels, sir. And another thing, the intern on the ambulance, he seemed to think it was funny, too.
Oh?
She was dead, all right, but, well, there wasn't any blood very much. I think there'd be blood in a case like this. There isn't much, sir, but I thought I'd better speak up.
Well, there have been accidents that looked funny before this, Kincaid, and they were just accidents.
I know, sir. Well, I'm not accusing anybody, but men have killed their wives before and made them look like accidents.
Sergeant, I think you know Dr. Wolf.
Yes, sir. How are you, Doctor?
Fair, thank you. Captain?
I wanted you to hear this directly from the doctor, Sergeant.
The Baker case?
Yes, exactly. Let's have it, Doctor.
Well, gentlemen, I must admit I was rather surprised at your request for an autopsy. In a clear situation like this one, it's hardly the usual thing.
Yes, sir, I know. I hope you...
Did it anyway? Yes. Of course, I had to have the husband's permission.
How did you go about getting it, Doctor?
My secretary called, said the medical examiner wouldn't release the body without an autopsy, and requested permission. We got permission.
Was he reluctant?
No, not at all. At least he didn't seem to be.
Mm-hmm.
I listened on my extension.
I see. Go on, Doctor.
We performed the usual tests in cases like this.
Did you find anything?
Well, it wasn't what we found exactly. It was what we didn't find.
I don't get it, sir.
It's simple enough.
When death occurs in the presence of fire, there's almost always evidence in the lungs of the inhalation of smoke. There wasn't a trace in this case.
That doesn't sound possible.
It is possible, under one circumstance. If the person was dead before the fire started.
Holy smoke.
Well, if this party were dead before the car started burning, the cause of death should be found. We went looking. We found it. Arsenic in the stomach. Plenty.
Could it have been taken by accident?
Well, anyone who took that much arsenic by accident would have to be crazy. Now, the rest is up to you, gentlemen, I believe.
Not bad, this place. Miss Mavis Hysham. An interesting name.
No record, sir.
That's too bad.
Yes?
Miss Hysham?
Yes.
I'm Captain Tabor, State Police. This is Sergeant Kincaid. Our credentials. May we come in?
Yes, of course. This way, gentlemen. Howard, dear. 2 men from the State Police.
State Police? Oh, of course. Sergeant Kincaid. This is my rescuer, Mavis.
Oh?
The man who found me on the hill that night.
Well, then it's something about the accident.
Yes, ma'am. Now, Mr. Baker, this is Captain Tabor.
How do you do?
Hello.
Won't you sit down, gentlemen? May I offer you a drink?
No, thank you. I'm sorry, but this is a business call. You see, we tried your house, Mr. Baker. The maid told us that you left Mavis Hysham's telephone number.
I see. More on the details, Captain? I must say you fellows file complete reports.
Yes, we do. Sergeant, would you explain, please?
Yes, sir. You see, Mr. Baker, it's like this. In what was left of your car, we found the remains of a picnic lunch.
But I thought I told you at your headquarters that night. My poor wife and I had been picnicking. We were on our way home when I lost control of the car and, well, you know the rest.
Yes, we do. Go on, Sergeant.
We're interested in that lunch, Mr. Baker, but, on the way here just now, we checked with the elevator boy. Just routine. He says he knows you quite well, that you've been coming to see Miss Hysham for about a year.
That's my business. And frankly, none of yours.
Except that your visits here might be construed as a, shall we say, motive, Mr. Baker?
I don't think I like your implications, Captain.
No more than we like the remains of those sandwiches.
Stop beating around the bush, Sergeant. If you have any accusations, make them. I'll deny them, and then you can see my lawyer.
Who made those sandwiches, Mr. Baker?
Some delicatessen or other. I don't remember.
They looked homemade to us, Mr. Baker.
I've yet to find a delicatessen that flavored its sandwiches with arsenic, Mr. Baker. Arsenic in the form of a paste flavored with mustard.
Who made those sandwiches, Mr. Baker?
How should I know? I told you I bought them. What's more, I think this is all nonsense. You're trying to get some headlines for yourselves. You're trying to turn a simple accident into...
Murder, Mr. Baker?
What? Why, it's ridiculous. The whole thing's a frame-up.
Who made those sandwiches? Who put the dressing on them?
You can't prove a thing.
We have the autopsy report, and it's rather complete. Now, will you talk to us here, or do we take you both with us?
Me? What have I got to do with this?
We'd like to find that out, too.
Maybe you fixed those sandwiches.
Howard's wife was killed in the accident.
She was dead before the accident.
What?
We have proof of that. It was arsenic, and in those sandwiches. Now, get your hats, both of you. We've wasted enough time.
I had nothing to do with it, I tell you. You've got nothing on me.
All right, Captain. I'll talk.
Take this down, Sergeant.
Yes, sir.
I've been seeing Miss Hysham for over a year. That's true. I stopped by the night before the accident to tell her I was going back to my wife.
What?
I had the sandwiches with me. I put them in the refrigerator here. I remember now. Mavis knew about the picnic. She knew about the sandwiches. She left me alone out here on some excuse or other.
You dirty rotten. He's framing me. He wasn't near me that night. I can prove it, too. The elevator boy. I had a date. I can prove where I was.
He's fighting for her life, Captain. Sergeant, I had no reason to kill my wife, but she did.
He's lying, I tell you. I told him to choose between us. She wouldn't divorce him, and he was looking for a way. You killed her, Howard.
Throw me over, will you?
Shut up, you. We've got you cold, and you know it. Now, you're both coming along. If your alibi stands up, you'll be in the clear, Miss Hysham.
I demand to see my lawyer. I demand...
The captain said shut up.
I won't shut up. I'll shout from the rooftop, and I'll never stand quiet.
A window, Captain.
You killed him.
No, miss. I'm too good a shot for that. And I hate to waste clean bullets on... Well, never mind. He'll stand trial. And with what we've got on him, he'll pay the usual penalty. Call the ambulance, Sergeant. Tell them we've got a nasty specimen for their cleaning department in the prison ward.
Crime does not pay. Donald Woods, who was starred as Howard Baker in Death on the Upgrade, will be back with you in just a moment. Now here in person is Donald Woods.
There can be no sympathy for Howard Baker. None at all. Except possibly the negative kind, which combines pity and contempt for a man who permitted his passions to so cloud his mind that he forgot the difference between right and wrong. But there is a warning in Howard Baker's story, the inevitable warning that you can't get away with. That there are always men with keen eyes and trained minds who pick up the tiny discrepancies which lead to evidence and to punishment. Plans of a murderer rarely encompass every tiny detail. Plans of every kind of criminal always go awry sometime. There is only one incontrovertible truth. No matter what or where or how crime occurs, in the end, crime does not pay.
Thank you, Mr. Woods. Crime Does Not Pay is written by Ira Marion and directed by Marks B. Loeb, with music composed and conducted by John Gart. Technical advisor is Burton B. Turkis. The events, characters, and names used in the story you've just heard are fictitious. Any similarity is purely coincidental. This is Bob Williams speaking.
The National Broadcasting Company presents Counterspy.
Washington calling David Harding, Counterspy. Washington calling David Harding, Counterspy.
Harding, Counterspy, calling Washington.
United States Counterspy, especially appointed to investigate and combat the enemies of our country, both at home and abroad.
These Counterspy reports to the American people are brought to you each week at this time. Now, the case of the infiltrating agents.
Counterspy Field Office, American Embassy, Buenos Aires. To Counterspy Headquarters, Washington. Urgent attention, Mr. Harding personally. Have just learned that Ivor Sanderson, inactive here for the past 2 years, has booked passage on 7 p.m. plane north. From Jones Counterspy Field Office, Nuevo Laredo, Mexico, to Mr. Harding, Washington. Believed man answering description of Ivor Sanderson got off plane here this morning.
Harding, to all Southern Field Offices. 24-hour alert ordered until further notice. Am flying to Laredo, Texas. Will make specific assignments upon arrival.
You're okay, Pepita. Plenty okay.
How many times I have to tell you my name is not Pepita. Who
Who is this Pepito? Some other girl you like better, huh?
No, Pepito, you're the only girl in the world. At least the only girl in Nuevo Laredo. Well, bottoms up.
Harry, I think you have too much already.
No, it's never too much. Bottoms up.
Oh. Harry, you take drinks too all of a sudden. Oh, come on, Harry, sweetheart, baby, we go.
Go? Where? What's the matter with this place?
We go home.
Oh, no, Pepito, I'm having too much fun. I like Mexico. I don't want to go back to Dallas. There's not this much fun in Dallas.
You don't go back to Dallas. I mean my home.
Oh. Why did you say so? Hey, waiter. Mozo!
Sí, señor.
Dame la cuenta.
7 pesos.
$7.
Sí.
Okay. Yeah, but keep the change. Keep it. I'm a sport.
Muchas gracias, señor.
All right.
Come, Harry.
You know, you're a sweet kid, Pepito. You're an awful sweet kid.
The name is not Pepita.
You're still a sweet kid.
Come, you lean on me. I will open the door.
That's a good girl. You open it the door.
Okay, come.
You know, Pepito, I'm going to miss you when I go back to Dallas.
Well, you don't go back till tomorrow.
I'm going to miss you anyway. Yeah, here's my car.
Oh, we don't have to drive to my house.
We don't?
No, I live right next door to the saloon.
Hey, that's nice. That's convenient, too, huh?
Right here. We go in.
Oh, that's good.
Come in, Harry.
Ah, it's dark. It's dark in here, Pepito.
I will turn it on the light.
Ah, it's better. Much better. Hey, look, a nice little old comfortable chair. Hey, isn't that a wonderful sight? Nice little old easy chair.
Harry?
Good night, Pepito.
Harry? Harry, wake up. Harry! Okay, sleep. Go.
Yeah, all right.
Is it all right?
Yes, all right. I wonder, does he have much money with him? He should.
Never mind how much money he's got. Leave it. Leave the money alone.
All right, but it's a shame. Here are the keys to his car.
Good.
The car is big Oldsmobile, right outside. License Texas JW360.
Stay here. I'll be back in a little while.
Mr. Sanderson? Mr. Sanderson?
Yes, here.
Come on, Carl, get out. But mustn't we drive the car to the garage? That has been the usual procedure.
Get out?
Yes, all right, get out. We do everything fine for months and months, perfect. And along comes word from Buenos Aires, and poof, everything has changed. Nothing is good. Why didn't you remain in Buenos Aires?
Because our superiors believe this is too important for you to handle.
Too important for me to handle, huh? What have I been handling that was not important?
Yes, but not as important as this.
In 5 or 6 hours, the man will wake up. We must have the car back by then so he can be on his way. If we must take off the tires and put the stuff inside as usual, we'll have to get it to the garage quickly.
No, the merchandise does not go into the tires.
What's the matter with the tires? We're putting it in the tires all along.
I don't like what you've been doing all along, Carl.
Please, you forget my contribution.
Is that so?
That is so. It was me, Carl, who thought of finding these tourists, having them innocently smuggle the material across the border in their cars. It was me alone.
You know, this job is too much for you.
Oh, now something big comes along. It's too much.
This is no bigger than usual.
You weren't sent from Buenos Aires for something no bigger than usual, I know.
Do you?
Of course I know.
What, for instance?
It is plans in microfilm to the organization to infiltrate the area of the new hydrogen bomb plant in South Carolina. Plans for our people to establish themselves as residents and get employment in the construction work. And later, when construction is finished in the plant itself. Isn't that right?
Very right.
You see, I know.
That's too bad, Carl.
Mr. Sanderson, no.
I'm sorry, Carl.
No, please, I didn't know. I only guessed.
Well, you guessed too well.
Please,
then.
don't kill me, please.
A little later or a little sooner, it didn't make any difference, Carl. You were not to be trusted.
Yes?
Here are the keys. The car is ready. Put the keys back in his pocket.
Who are you? What is Carl?
Carl has been transferred.
Transferred?
Yes, transferred to another area. Put the keys in the man's pocket. Everything is ready.
To Braden, Counterspy Headquarters, Washington. Advise you handle Honolulu and San Francisco matters yourself. Don't know how long I'll be here. No break as yet. Case still requires my personal attention.
Harding.
Yes, I'll be right with you. Signed, David Harding, Counterspy Temporary Field Office, Laredo, Texas. Yeah?
That Oldsmobile with the Texas plates JW360 just left the Mexican side and started across the International Bridge.
Good.
You want to step over to the window, Chief? Yeah, here it comes, Mr. Harding.
No, I think it ought to have a regular customs examination right down the line.
Okay, I'll take care of it myself.
Make it look regular, just in case we're being watched.
Right. Here it comes.
Well, I'll wait inside. Tell the driver I want to see him.
Right. Good morning, sir.
What's good about it?
Ooh. Rough night?
Rough. It was brutal. My bag's in the trunk. I've got nothing to declare. I didn't buy anything.
Nothing at all to declare?
Nothing except what I ate and drank. I'll open it up.
Give me the keys, mister. I'll open it. The man inside wants to see you.
About what?
Well, you'll have to ask him. One standing right inside the door.
All right. Did you want to see me? Hello, Mr. Harding.
Hello, Peter. How'd it go?
As expected. This girl, Pepita, picked me up in the cafe. We had a few drinks. When she thought I was loaded, she took me to her place. When it looked like I passed out, she called in a friend named Carl.
Yeah.
They lifted the car keys off me, and Carl left. 5 or 6 hours later, she returned my car keys.
So, our suspicions are confirmed.
I think that's been the pattern all the while, Chief.
What do you think they hid in the car?
I don't know. I didn't want to make too close an examination.
Well, we ought to be able to find it.
Anything you want, Sanderson?
Nothing other than we're afraid he slipped into this country.
Mm-hmm.
So start out for Dallas, Peters, and make those stops we talked about for lunch, for gas, anything. Well, someplace between here and Dallas, they should try to lift the car from you.
And that's when we nail them.
I hope so. Now, as insurance, we'll use the alternating method in staying with you. Somebody in front, somebody behind, all the time.
Right.
I'll try to be in contact with you from time to time.
All right, sir. Everything's okay.
Thanks.
Here are your keys. They pulled out the upholstery padding in the backrest of the rear seat, Chief. Found a roll of microfilm.
Microfilm? So that's it. Did you substitute it in the car?
Yes, sir.
Good. Well, Peters, I think you spent enough time here.
All right. So long. Thanks.
So long. He's got a dangerous job.
Yeah. You don't know how dangerous. Those people would just as soon kill him as look at him. We've been after this ring for a year now. We haven't made a dent yet. That is until now.
That's a pretty clever gimmick of theirs, storing the films in tourists' cars.
Yes, it's clever, but it's up to us to be a little more clever. Let's find out what's in those microfilms.
Yes, sir. Fill her up? Yep.
How's the oil water?
They're okay. Just fill her up.
Any sign of them, Peters?
I didn't see a thing, Chief.
I just heard from both your follower and your leader. They didn't see any sign of them either. We developed that microfilm we found in the car.
Big stuff?
Bigger than we figured. That 400-square-mile tract of land up around Aiken, South Carolina.
Hey, that's where the government just announced it's going to build a hydrogen bomb plant.
Exactly. Microfilm has orders to agents in a dozen or more states to get rooted around that project, even before it started. When the call goes out for workers, those agents will be right among them. So I don't think they'll let your car get too far out of their sight, Peter. He must be around someplace.
Maybe they have the setup spotted.
No, I don't think so.
Do you think they're waiting till I get closer to Dallas? Hey, you're getting a customer.
Yeah.
Just a minute, ma'am. Be with you a minute.
All right.
Well, there you are. Filled up.
Okay.
Sure the oil and water okay?
Yeah, they're okay.
Please. I'm in an awful hurry.
Well, but this gentleman
If
here...
the lady's in such a hurry, go right ahead. I've got plenty of time.
Okay. Fill her up, ma'am?
No, I don't need any gasoline. There's something wrong with my car, and I've just got to get to San Antonio.
Well, we'll take a look. Yeah, it's hot, all right. It's boiling.
What is it, the fan belt?
No, fan belt seems to be okay.
I was just driving along, and it started to steam all of a sudden.
No, let's check the water. Oh, that's it.
No water?
Can't see any. You got a leak, all right, a bad one there. See how it's dripping down on the pan there?
Oh, will that take long?
Well, long enough. You got to find the leak, then I got to fix it.
Oh, dear, I've got to be in San Antonio by 1 o'clock.
Well, with this car you won't. I got 2 other jobs sitting in the garage back there. It'll be at least 1:30 before I can get to it.
Is there a bus or something?
Well, not one that'll get you to San Antonio by 1 o'clock.
Oh. Sir, could you take me? Are you going to San Antonio?
Me?
Yes, I've just got to be there. I've got an appointment, and I can't miss it.
Why don't you give the lady a lift, mister? You got an empty car.
Well, sure. It'd be a pleasure, miss.
Oh, thank you very much. You don't know what a favor this is. I've really got to be there. I'll come back tomorrow for the car. Is that all right?
Oh, I'll be ready anytime tomorrow. That'll be 2:06, mister.
Yeah, sure. Here you are.
Thanks. There's no leak in that radiator. The water was drained out. Peters, this may be it.
You are listening to the case of the infiltrating agents on Counterspy. Have you met our new baby yet? I mean NBC's new baby, The Big Show. And what a baby it is. The biggest baby you ever heard. And he's not crying either. Why should he with stars like Tallulah Bankhead, Jimmy Durante, Clifton Webb, Mindy Carson, Meredith Wilson, and a host of others to make him radio's greatest spectacle ever? This Sunday and every Sunday, meet The Big Show. An hour and a half of comedy, music, and drama. All this and Tallulah, too. No wonder it's The Big Show. And Sunday evening over most of these same NBC stations also means the Phil Harris-Alice Faye Show with Frankie, Julius, and the entire cast. Now, back to Counterspy.
San Antonio Counterspy Field Office.
Now, this is Harding. Peter stopped at point 14, filling station. Car drove up with a steaming radiator, and a girl, 5'4", 120 pounds, 25 years old, got out and hitched a ride to San Antonio with Peters in his car.
That looks like it.
That does. Check on the license of the car she left here. The 1949 Plymouth two-door, painted maroon, Texas license 3T152.
Okay, Mr. Harding.
Now get that information out to all cars. Because if she's one of the ring, she might try to pull a gun on Peters between here and San Antonio. Take over his car.
Right.
I'm turning the filling station back to the owner right away and joining the parade. But keep shooting out bulletins over the air. We're getting close.
What would a pretty girl like you be in such a hurry to get to San Antonio for, Miss White?
Oh, I've got an appointment.
What kind of appointment?
Just an appointment.
Okay. So maybe I'd be entitled to know.
Well, you are, but I'm not going to tell you.
All right. I'll mind my own business.
You're sweet, Mr. Peters.
Harry.
Very sweet. Harry. Where do you live?
In Dallas. Where do you live?
In San Antonio.
They're too far apart. Dallas and San Antonio.
I guess they are. Oh, there's a nice lunch stand coming up. Would you like to get some coffee?
I thought you were in a hurry to get to San Antonio.
Well, I am, but a few minutes won't hurt.
It won't hurt you. It won't hurt me.
It's really a very nice place. I've been there before.
Must be. It's kind of busy.
Oh, a lot of people who travel between San Antonio and Laredo know it.
Huh? Yeah.
Thank you.
You know, I was kind of hoping you'd want to stop. I thought, though, that you were in too much of a hurry.
Oh, well, I'm never in too much of a hurry for a cup of coffee.
Good.
Let's sit at the counter. It's quicker, shall we?
Okay. You're the boss. It's all right?
Oh, this is fine.
You draw one or two. Yeah, folks. What's the pleasure?
I'll have a cup of coffee and... Oh, do you have a menu?
Menu's on the wall, lady.
Oh. A sweet roll. A cup of coffee and a sweet roll.
All right. Mister? I'll have the same.
Drop two. Pastry fair.
What do you do, Mr. Peters?
The name is just plain Harry, and I do fine.
I mean, what do you do for a living?
Oh. I'm in the dairy business.
Oh, that's nice.
Here you are, folks. Your coffee? And a couple of sweet rolls.
Thank you.
Would you like some sweet? Hey, buddy.
What's the matter?
You drive up here in a black Oldsmobile?
Yes, why?
Well, somebody's driving off in it, and it ain't you.
This is Gloria. Let me talk to Mr. Sanderson. Oh, Harry.
Did you get hold of your father, Gloria?
Well, they're calling him to the phone.
Oh, good. I'm really terribly sorry.
Oh, here's my father. Excuse me, Harry. Hello, Mr. Sanderson.
Well, how's it going, Gloria?
Oh, very well, like clockwork.
Did Jimmy get the car?
Yes, he drove it off about 5 minutes ago.
You don't think the man has any knowledge?
Oh, he doesn't know a thing.
Can you lose him?
He's already lost. A very convenient truck driver offered me a ride into San Antonio.
Good. Very good.
I'll see you in about an hour. Goodbye. Well, there's that.
Your father isn't worried, I hope.
Oh, no, he's not worried.
You know, I don't like the idea of you riding to San Antonio in a truck.
Well, I've got to get there some way, and the man was kind enough to... Why don't you come along with us, Harry?
Oh, I'd love to, but the state police said wait here until the highway patrol comes, so I guess I'd better wait for a report on the car.
Oh, yes, I forgot all about that.
Hey, lady, if you want to ride with me, you'd better come on. I operate on a strict schedule.
Yeah, I'll be right with you. Goodbye, Harry.
Oh, wait a minute. Look, where can I find you in San Antonio?
Oh, you don't want to find me, Harry.
Oh, yes, I do.
No, you don't. There's something I didn't tell you. It wasn't my father on the phone. It was my husband.
Oh.
Goodbye, Harry.
Peters. Hello, Mr. Harding. You got the whole story, Peters? Yes, I phoned in. Was someone able to stay behind my car?
Michael stuck with it all the way. He reported a short, curly-haired man about 30 grabbed it.
I didn't get a look at him.
Well, he drove up the highway to a few miles north of Divine, pulled off on a side road. He apparently lifted the stuff out of the back seat, and 5 minutes later, a Ford drove up. Michaels reported the curly-haired man got in, headed for San Antonio.
Their timing is perfect.
Yeah. Well, what about the girl?
Well, Joan's truck pulled into the restaurant, and he put on a big act of sympathy and offered her a ride to San Antonio, and she took it.
Good for Jones. We'll hear from him just as soon as he drops her.
She won't get out any place near where she's going.
Oh, there's an agent behind Jones, isn't there?
Yes. He'll pick her up on foot. Now, we checked on the car that she left behind at the filling station. It was rented at San Antonio.
Oh. Well, I guess we're getting right on top of it, Peters.
We sure are, Dave. And we better nail them this time.
We'll get them. This is their last trip.
Yes? Who is it?
It's me, Gloria.
Well, hello, Gloria.
Mr. Sanderson.
Come in, come in.
Well, how'd you like that for turning a trick?
It came off very well.
The poor man never knew what hit him. He'll find his car in a few hours. He'll go on back to Dallas and write the whole thing off as a streak of bad luck.
Where did the truck driver leave you?
Well, I told him I wanted to get out near the Gunster. He pulled that big 10-ton truck right up in front of the hotel and dropped him.
Now, you're positive no one was behind you?
Oh, no one. I walked 3 blocks, hopped a cab, and here I am.
Good work.
Did Jimmy bring the package and all that?
Oh, yes. Yes. Here it is.
Oh, that's wonderful.
We'll get the films moving east by tonight. And by Monday, they'll be spread to every agent of ours in the country. We're a step ahead of these people every foot of the way. Nothing will stop us, Gloria. Nothing.
I never doubted anything would.
All right, now. Let's get ready to move out. I want to be on our way east in an hour.
She was the kind of girl who would fool anyone, Chief. She could pull that stunt twice a week and never be...
San Antonio to car C5.
I'll take that. Harding, San Antonio. Go ahead.
Meeker reports curly-haired suspect who took car trailed the following address in San Antonio, 1842 Del Rosa.
1842 Del Rosa.
That's right, Mr. Harding. Suspect entered the house with suitcase apparently containing contraband. Left house 5 minutes later without the suitcase.
What kind of house is it, San Antonio?
A 2-story house, frame affair, front and back entrance. Suspect entered first floor door. Second floor has apparently unconnected occupant.
You have the house covered?
Meeker's on the spot. I'm heading there, too.
Okay, good. Now tell Meeker...
Just a minute, Mr. Harding.
I wonder what's up, Chief.
Johnson just checked in. He followed the girl from the Gunther Hotel to the same address.
That's more than coincidence, Chief.
Okay, San Antonio. Keep all agents on the spot. We're headed there right away. All right, Peter. See if you can get some speed out of this thing.
There's Jones, Mr. Harding.
Jones.
Hello, Chief. Peter. That's it. The yellow frame house across the street. They're on the first floor.
Where you got the men posted?
Meeker and Johnson are back in the alley. I've got a pair up on the street in the car. Evans is standing in the doorway on this side.
Any idea who the occupant is?
Yeah, we checked around. Couldn't get much of a line on him. He moved in about a week ago. Neighbors say he's a big man. Haven't seen him much.
Is he in there, Jones?
Yeah. He opened up the door for both the curly-haired suspect and the girl.
All right. Let's go. You go up to the door with me, Peter. You follow us up, Jones.
Okay.
Give the boys a high sign. We're going to move in.
Okay. They got it. And they're ready.
All right, Jones. Come up behind us.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay. Now, you knock, Peter. I'll cover you.
Right. I'll be glad to wind this one up.
So will I. Knock again.
Yes, who is it?
It's me.
You? Who are you?
Hello, Miss White. Surprise.
Well, Harry, how did you...
I did.
We're United States Counterspy. We know that there's a man...
Hey, watch it! That's him! Sanderson!
Yeah.
Oh! You got it, Peter. Come on. You hit me. You hit me. Get me a doctor, will you?
All right, Sanderson. Take it easy. We'll get you a doctor.
I'm hit bad. I need a doctor.
What did you do to him? What did you do to him?
Sanderson's all right, lady. He's not hurt bad.
There are the films, Chief. All ready to go.
Yes, and the only place they're going is where we're taking them. The only place these people are going is where we're putting them. Come on, all of you, let's go. This is David Harding. Here's a statement by the Honorable J. Edgar Hoover, Director, Federal Bureau of Investigation. The President of the United States, in restating the responsibilities of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, has called upon all law enforcement officers, patriotic organizations, and individuals to report information pertaining to espionage, sabotage, and subversive activities to the FBI. The following suggestions are made to assist patriotic organizations and individuals in complying with the President's request.
Be alert. Learn to know the enemies of the American way of life. If you suspect sabotage, espionage, or subversive activities, communicate with the nearest office of the FBI and furnish all facts in your possession. Once you have reported your information to the FBI, do not circulate rumors or endeavor to make private investigations. Leave the investigations to trained investigators who have access to data acquired over the years on individuals engaged in subversive activities.
The internal security of the United States can best be assured with the cooperation, aid, and assistance of every law-abiding person in our nation.
Tune in every week, same time, same station, to Counterspy. Listen next week for the exciting Case of the Invisible Insurrectionist.
Behind the nationwide headlines of a recent murder attempt lies a strange story of a certain organization to whom misery was a necessity and treason a way of earning a living. How your counterspies answered this challenge by proving that charity doesn't always begin at home will be revealed for the first time next week in
Case of the invisible insurrectionist on Counterspy. Tonight's Counterspy program originated in New York, was directed by Marks B. Loeb, and featured Don McLaughlin and Mandel Kramer. Lionel Rico speaking. Counterspy is a Phillips H. Lord production. Three chimes mean good times on NBC.